Hello and welcome to the Video Game Dads podcast. Thanks for joining us. This is episode 68.
Wow.
58.
This is episode 58.
I was gonna say that seems high.
Yeah, dang it. I'm trying to get to retirement. That's where it is, guys.
Yeah.
We're trying to get there. So, Video Game Dads podcast is where three guys in a basement talk gaming, fatherhood, and everything in between. We are your hosts. I am Ben.
And I am Adam.
And I'm Michael.
And we've got...
Grayson.
Yeah, that's Grayson. Good job, buddy.
Yeah.
So, we have a little new segment. I won't spoil it. We already know what the name is. But just so you guys know, we're amateur. I'm going to say tri-weekly. We just try to have a podcast as best we can. When we get together, get live. If you've been with us a long time, you'll know that this is already way better than our schedule of 2020. We're happy to be with us. Thank you for joining us. We are a family-friendly podcast. What that means is we still might have some adult content we talk about for sure, but you shouldn't have to do earmuffs, and we're not going to do any cussing or swearing, so you can play this out loud with people around, but we're still going to talk nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
And we still every once in a while might talk about a little
Like
birds and the
Nerdy
bees.
Nathan from Roblox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, something like that. Exactly. Yep. Birds and bees flying around, that kind of thing, Grayson. Some of the things we will talk about, a few things. There's a new Switch game coming out, things that we've been playing. We're going to get back to our segment, the Video Game Book Club, where we have two fun games, robot-inspired, we're going to talk about, and then our new picks for next time. Bringing back that popular segment. Also, our handheld Holla. And we're also going to talk about...
Yeah.
We're not going to be the heel of the wrestlers here when we talk about it, but we're going to talk about it. I think that'll be interesting. And some of your emails, too. Yeah, and handheld Holla, Video Game Book Club, and talk about another couple things. Pickups, what we've played, things like that. Who knows? That's the everything in between of our podcast name that we'll also talk about. So who knows? We don't know. It might be fun. We don't know. We might go to Home Depot if we have enough time. What's that reference? Do we know? I don't know. But I see something coming, something in the water. It's far away. It's getting closer. Donna, 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 Donna.
It's Grayson's Game Shark.
Yeah, that's it. All right. And if you knew what that was trying to be a Jaws theme, I don't know what we're doing. But it's Grayson's Game Shark, our quick little segment at the beginning where the video game dad's son, or just video game son, let's just say the video game son, which as they grow up, they might take over their own podcast. By then, it'll be a neural net processor, a learning computer, where the podcast just beams in your head.
Yeah.
Grayson, son of Adam. Grayson, son of Adam.
Yeah, this is starting to sound biblical.
Yes. How are you doing, Grayson?
Good.
Thank you for joining us. Have you been playing some video games with your dad?
Well, actually, we have played some games, but not two-player games.
Not
Yeah.
two-player games?
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Well, we've been handicapped for the last couple of weeks.
Oh.
Why is that, bub?
I forgot.
Well, because I may have talked about this on a podcast. I'm not sure, but late last September, I got a brand new 86-inch LG Nano Cell television.
Oh, we're going to get into
where
this.
is
Yeah,
going.
so it's a pretty swanky TV. Nicest thing in my house probably. But I was working a couple of weeks ago, and I got called in, and so I had to go in on a Saturday, and I'm on my way into the hospital, and I get this call from Casey, and she's like, "Don't be mad," and I was like, "Why?" And she says, "Well, your TV doesn't work," and I was like, "Oh, what happened?" So what happened, bub?
I broke it.
Yeah, so I think we.
How did you break it, Grayson?
Yeah.
I threw a plastic plate at it.
Yeah, so we were frisbeeing a plate across the room.
That's how it would happen.
Yeah, and it met the television.
Yeah.
And
And when I hit the television, that was actually my second time doing it.
oh, that was the second.
is that right?
The new revelation.
We're getting the full story.
Yeah, another
was
layer's
throwing
been
it
added.
onto the tiles. Like, I didn't know it was a frisbee, but then I noticed it was. First, I thought it was like going.
Yeah,
like,
sure,
gonna,
sure.
Like fall to the front, like bung.
Yeah, you like the
Oh,
noise.
yeah.
I will tell you this. Frisbees have a tendency to not be able to control them easy as like a ball. A ball, you kind of know where it's going for the most part, unless it's got the bounce. But a Frisbee, if you let that go a little early or a little late, or it skips like a skipping stone and it hits something. So we know you didn't intend to
Sounds like
break
a
your
bump.
TV.
Yeah, I can see it's light,
Yeah.
but it carries a lot of momentum. you
Yeah,
know?
Yeah,
so
Grayson.
you would maybe think.
Yeah,
that,
Grayson, you are allowed to break one TV in your life, but that's only one.
This is the only TV you get
Yeah,
to break.
only one, and then beyond that,
Yeah, it was kind of interesting though, because Casey, my
And I
wife,
literally forgot to say this. That TV cost $30,500.
30,000. Yeah, it was a
I was
$30,000
about to say
television.
cents.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
$30,000 TV.
well,
Yeah.
Not.
Grayson, though, when it broke, did you know you were in trouble, or did you think, "Wow, that just broke"?
I thought I was in trouble.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Casey called me and she told me it was cracked. And so I did my stuff at work, got home, and the interesting was it wasn't cracked on the outside.
Oh, really?
So like the screen in the front, is like this thin plasticky kind of material, but it's actually like the layer that the actual
Behind it.
pixels are in is where it's cracked.
Oh.
And when you turn it on, it displays a crack, but the crack is actually pixels. If that makes sense, like it's
Gotcha.
white
Yeah.
pixels
Yeah.
that look like a crack. So it's the thing that really sucks about it though, because I thought. The place I bought it from, it came with like an included extended warranty and all this kind of stuff. So I read all the fine print. Of course, it's not going to cover, somebody chunking something into it. But
Sure.
so I got on LG's website and I'm like, well, maybe there's some kind of repair. I doubt it. But so I like type in like the the model number and all that kind of thing, and it just says replacement model.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that stinks about this, an 86-inch television. When you put it in the box and everything else, it's more like a 105-inch
Right,
TV. So I
right.
actually had to rent a truck to get this thing home. To get it down the stairs, I about killed myself because
Yeah.
it weighs a substantial amount of weight aside from just being, sort of ungainly as far as how
Sure.
big it is and that sort of stuff.
so
So now,
you have a replacement yet or not yet?
no, I'm actually going to just take that TV from in here
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and put it down there. But it's like half the size or something. But so it's still setting on its place downstairs, and it's a big TV, so I have a projector, like I have an HD projector, and I actually have thought about like
Projecting onto it. Or
yeah
something.
putting like some
Might
kind
as
of
well.
white canvas on it and using it just as a projector background.
Yeah,
But,
lemonade out of lemons.
yeah.
And so, Grayson, not to overtake your Game Shark with basically, the shark got in trouble and got in timeout. I obviously, it happens. You felt bad. Do you feel bad because also you can't really play some games on it right now? But what are you playing your
Like
games on
Xbox.
now? I know. So are you playing your games on something else?
My iPad and Switch.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, we got grounded from games for a couple of weeks, which is why we haven't played many games.
Right, right.
So we had all our screens taken away for a couple of weeks, and we just started playing games a few days ago. What did you play games on today? What that was kind of cool.
The TV with a suitcase in it. Like the TV is attached to it.
Yeah,
And you can fit a PlayStation in it.
yeah. So we played PlayStation 4 today on the games GAE
MS.
MS
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
doohickey.
The travel
his
thing.
was kinda cool.
Portable.
And I was also playing Sound Shapes.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Sound
Okay.
shapes.
I love that game.
Yeah, so I've honestly kind of we've sort of been on a video game vacation, but we've been listening to a lot of music, a lot of records and stuff, haven't we?
Yep.
Yeah. So tell me about Sound Shapes. I played that a long time ago, and it's kind of a game where
Like for some reason, I can't do the second level for some reason. And I don't even know why.
Oh, I think it changes. If I remember, Sound Shapes is kind of like it's a platformer game, but it's also like has a lot to do with the music. It's kind of an advanced game. Like it's good you're into that, but it's not
Yeah,
the easiest game.
Yeah, he loves that game actually.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Indy loves the music to it.
Oh, I need to play that
nice.
again. It was free a long time ago on PSN, like years ago for PS3.
Yeah, honestly, of all the PSN exclusive games, that's the one I want like an update or a remake of the most,
I
or one of them.
I feel like it's on the PS3 collection, the one that
I think
like,
it is.
has the
I think,
PSN
I think
collection.
You're right. I think it's on one of them because aren't there like 2 or 3 of those?
No,
collection?
unfortunately, there's only one.
Oh,
Yeah, they only made one. They made like the Journey collection, and then
that's the one
I
I'm
think that was
thinking
it.
of. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's on there. Yeah, that's fun. So Roblox, I went back and listened to the old episode, and at the end of the day, I still don't fully understand what Roblox is. So I'm going to try this again, Grayson. Roblox is something that your generation, maybe some of the sons that are listening to this, like it a lot. What is your favorite thing to do in Roblox? So, better question is, what makes Roblox fun?
You get to customize your character.
Oh, okay.
Do you get to build stuff just like Minecraft?
Yeah.
And you build stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you drive in cars?
In Minecraft you can, but
Not in Roblox.
well, I was actually thinking about that.
I thought there were some cars in it. Am I wrong? I know you were throwing donuts at people the other day in it.
Oh yeah. Wait, throwing donuts?
Yeah, weren't you in a place where they were making donuts and you guys were like throwing donuts at each other?
City. That was actually called Mad City.
Uh-huh.
I was a criminal.
Wow.
Oh
For
man,
real
wait.
looked up, it's actually really easy to be a criminal.
Hey.
For beginners, it's probably 0 left.
So if you're a criminal, what'd you steal? Or what'd you
Money?
do? You stole
Yeah.
money.
Like you rob places.
Yeah, he
right.
robs. He steals
and
money
there's
and breaks
criminal
televisions.
bases.
All right, so the lesson then, which is always, did you get in trouble for stealing in Roblox? Did you get put in Roblox jail? Or did you get away with it?
There's also police officers.
Ah,
I played one
okay.
version.
All right. I'm just...
You can't see his
I-
face,
I
but he
feel
looks
like
really disappointed there.
I feel like I'm
I
really
played
failing
a
as a parent right
version
now.
Yeah.
that
Hey, question though: is it
And
is it
I've
more fun to be
been-
a good guy or the criminal?
the superhero. Because
Okay, see,
There's
okay,
also
you're doing all
like,
right, Adam. You're doing all right, Adam.
there's a guy like that speedy superhero.
The
Like
Flash.
the Flash, yeah, the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you can run on water.
Uh-huh.
Oh, like from the kid from Incredibles.
Uh-huh.
Like Dash.
From
Sure.
Incredibles. Yeah.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Flash and Dash rhyme.
They
True.
sure,
That is a fact.
they sure
They,
do.
they do in fact rhyme.
Yeah.
Grayson, are you excited that there's a new Mario game coming out for the Switch? It's called Mario 3D Land.
Yeah.
And
It's
Bowser's
3D World.
Bowser's Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk
We
about that
actually
a
got
little later.
that delivered.
Oh, nice. Have you played it yet?
No.
You haven't played it yet. Okay.
It
Yeah.
just came in this afternoon, didn't it?
Right. I think it was released today. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Are you excited to play it?
Yeah, we've watched the trailer.
What's your favorite Mario game? Have I asked you that? What's your favorite all-time? Think now. Don't answer too quickly. Think about it. What's your favorite Mario game? I like that you're thinking about it. Good for you.
Well, I actually like a couple, but
Okay, that's fine. Throw
Yeah.
out your
Yeah, yeah.
favorites. Yeah, you don't have to have
have
a
a top
very.
three
You know
or-
what? I don't think I ask me what my favorite Mario game is. Go ahead, go.
well, what is it?
My favorite Mario game. Hold on, let me think. See, I have to think about it too. I think my favorite Mario game might be Mario 64, and that doesn't sound super popular, but like the nostalgia hit. So, what was your first Mario that you played when you were a little boy?
Well,
Because you're obviously so big now.
I don't know.
You don't
I
know?
forgot.
Okay. Did you play the ones on Super Nintendo?
No.
Okay.
You
Did-
play-
But I
you played
actually know my favorite now.
okay, go.
Super Mario 3D All Stars.
Oh,
Okay, very
nice.
nice.
That's actually a good answer. You know
Yeah,
why?
you can
It's
get
got
multiple.
a bunch of
Yeah.
them in there,
Yeah,
right?
like 3 games.
Yeah,
Like
Mario Galaxy.
64,
Yep.
Mario Galaxy, which I've played,
Yep.
and I actually pretty much love it.
Yeah. Did you play?
There you go.
What's the third Mario?
Oh, I've played Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah. How do you like that?
Okay.
I love it.
Okay.
I've beat the second boss, I think.
Okay. All right.
job.
Yeah,
Good
when
job.
Mario's
Yeah,
on vacation.
Yeah, I actually literally beat the second boss. Then the bad guy stole Princess Peach. So and I
Happens.
actually had to capture her and wash away the bad guy's ink.
Nice. So you
Like
recaptured
Good
her.
job, yeah.
Good. She went from one prison to another, but at least it's with Mario, right? It's a
Yeah,
little
but
better
I
than-
actually captured the bad guy, but he went away in a different place.
Oh, he slipped out of your hands.
Yep, that's how it goes.
Like
Yeah,
he made
that
a
happens.
portal to a different place. I forgot the name of it.
So it's good you like the 3D ones. The 3D ones are a lot of fun.
Oh, I've been playing a lot of Minecraft on my Switch.
You
I
did?
forgot to talk about that.
Oh,
Oh, that's
All
a
right.
nice score.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I got Minecraft, Roblox, and a couple of the games like Paper.io 2.
What is it called again? Wait, go back.
Yeah.
It's what?
What was that last one?
I have Minecraft, Roblox,
Yeah, and what's the third
and
one?
Paper.io.
Paper.io.
Yeah.
So
and it
tell me just about that game because
Yeah.
it sounds like a whole bunch of words mixed
yeah,
together.
and
What
if
it-
everyone watching doesn't know,
Yeah.
like they'll all learn about it and might want to download it.
Is it a driving game?
Well, it's so much like that.
Okay.
Except it's 2D.
Okay.
I mean, I'm about 90% sure that's a real game.
Like, I
just
have
based off
number
him.
1,
I have no idea.
number
but
2,
he
but,
sounds convincing to me.
I played number 3 on my laptop.
So, Grayson, I'm going to say it, and you have to make sure I'm saying it right. Paper.io.
You were saying it right.
Okay. All right. Paper.io. You heard it here first. Grayson recommends it on Grayson's Game Shark. That's pretty cool, buddy. I like it.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Now remember, your homework is to watch Terminator 2. No, sorry. Okay, watch Terminator 2 10 years from now.
Okay.
And then report back to us. But thanks, Paper.io. You'll be as surprised as I am. It's so great. Thanks for not spoiling
Yeah.
it for us, though, Grayson. Because is it like
And I
Minecraft?
might play Splatoon 2.
Oh, Splatoon 2
Okay.
is tons
Yeah.
of fun.
And if some people don't know what Splatoon 2 is,
Yeah.
it's actually a game where you have an ink gun and Splatfests, if I'm saying it
Sure.
right.
Yep.
I've watched a YouTuber play it,
Yeah.
and he actually played on a couple of Splatfests.
All right, cool beans. I think I hear your mom.
Adam, this is
Yeah.
gold.
You hear her?
I heard someone walk up to the door too.
All right.
Did you? Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I think it's probably time for you to get to bed, bud.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Grayson.
All right. Yeah.
Bubba.
Thanks. It was great having you.
Yeah.
Love you, Bubba. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, what do you think, guys? I think it's time for our video game book club.
Is it me? Is it you? No. Guess who?
You guess who? That's a mystery.
Chip doesn't have red hair. Nope. I'm history.
But I'm still here.
Can you guess who with the clues that tell?
Chip doesn't have a beard. No.
Farewell.
Can you guess who till you have your clues?
Chip doesn't wear glasses. No. Oh, I see it's not you.
Me neither.
Can you guess who?
I know. It's David. I win. Let's play
Can you
again.
guess who runs in the clues?
Game cards do not actually talk.
All right. Well, Video Game Book Club is brought to you by Guess Who?
Guess who?
Guess Who? Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you know that game cards don't talk? Back in 1987?
Wild, huh?
Yeah. Now
I
they.
was so disappointed.
Did you
I
know
didn't
now
that.
in 2021 they totally don't still?
Yeah. You think they had to add that because they got lawsuits?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
like
mean,
how about
They
this?
originally had it. Somebody was
My
like, "Wait
children-
a second."
Yeah, ruined our Christmas.
How about this? As a kid, even though we're thankful for our sponsor, thank you very much. Go get it at Walmart for $11.99. But tell them we sent you. No, actually, go into Walmart and just start walking towards the thing. Say, I think there's a discount for the Video Game Dad
Yeah.
podcast, and then see what that Walmart employee.
Yeah, there's a
looks at you.
90%. Yeah, there's a 90% Video Game Dad's discount.
It is, and actually more if the discount is in a scowl. That's how you're going to get it redeemed. You're going to get a confused scowl given to you by the
You can go
Walmart person.
online and put in the promo code VGD on Walmart's
Uh-huh.
website.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
get
yeah.
that discount too. So
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
okay.
Just put the make sure to put the G in between the VD. So, right? No earmuffs needed.
Yeah, VD.
Our video game book club is a segment where in each episode we pick a game that may be overlooked, misunderstood, most likely not in the top 15% of whatever system library we are in, and we play it in between episodes. That's kind of like a book club, right? And then we play it and then discuss it in between. We encourage our listeners to submit suggestions for our video game book club easily in our email. Oh, we skipped that. I knew the first segment went by real fast. Real fast. Where can you email us, Adam?
VideoGameDads@yahoo.com.
Yeah, and you can Facebook us at facebook.com/videogamedads. Facebook us or whatever. And then our Twitter. And then we have a YouTube, but mainly just for unboxing stuff that you guys send us that you don't need to do that, but we appreciate it and we put it on our YouTube. You can find us there. But other than that, email is probably the best way to get us some information. Back to the Video Game Book Club. If you don't know and you don't know, we do a little spiel. When you submit something for the book club, you can do any system for whatever reason. Just try to not make it a very popular game. If you're not sure, you can put in a couple and we can kind of choose from them. And then we put them in our little randomizer pool and we pick it for the next episode. And that's how that works. So last time we had 2 games for our Video Game Book Club. One was a dad pick by yours truly. And I picked Binary Domain by Sega for the Xbox 360. It also came out for the PC and PS3. You could play that in any of them. And then our other one was Cyborg Justice. That had been in for 2.5, 3 years. So I'm glad that one got picked for the Sega Genesis. So I think we'll talk about Cyborg Justice first.
All right.
Adam, what kind of stats you got on the old Cyborg Justice for Sega Genesis?
Yeah, so this is a game developed by Nova Trade, Novo Trade.
Not familiar, but all right.
Yeah.
Game
Yep.
Stonk. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this was a precursor to GameStonk. And this was published by Sega and released for the Genesis and the Mega Drive. It saw releases in Europe and North America as well as Australia. I guess there wasn't a Japanese release, at least according to Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Came out in '93 in all three territories. And
93.
93, yeah. And I'll get to the pricing here. A complete in-box copy will run you about $17. A
Okay.
loose copy will run you $8-9.
Not too
Okay.
bad.
So yeah, pretty cheap. And I'm not even sure really what to call this. I would probably call it a side-scrolling beat 'em up more than anything else.
Sure. It's a
Yeah.
side-scrolling beat 'em up with some asterisks in there as far as like it's side scrolls, you beat things up, but there's some things in it that's not very traditional. First off, has anybody played this before?
I think maybe I had played it way back
really?
when, yeah.
Okay.
But I very faint memories of it.
Right.
But yeah, it's a beat 'em up in the sense that you walk around and you do beat things up, but it's only one enemy at a time.
Right.
And each individual fight is almost like an individual fight in a fighting game.
Yes.
If that makes
It's
sense.
kind of more of a fighter almost. And
Yeah.
kind of like different stages.
Yeah,
it
it's
almost
just
kinda
instead of going to another fight with another character, you just walk to the right and then you're in
Exactly.
another fight.
Yeah. And so I guess, addressing the elephant in the room, what makes it kind of different and probably is, there's a lot that isn't said at the beginning to the point where I felt like, oh, I look at some screenshots, video of this game, I can pick this up and play this game. I think what this is a side-scrolling beat 'em up that you can't really pick up and play. Is that fair?
It's not as straightforward as some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To take advantage of the game, you can't really.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
kind of need to
it's-
know the nuance of it.
Yeah. Because when you kind of pick stuff at the beginning, it kind of alters how you play the game.
Yeah, exactly. When I
And
first booted up, I didn't really realize that you had all these options.
Yeah.
Right. There's like a loadout, so to speak. So you've got options for kind of the torso, the arms, and the legs. You don't know what each of them do. It doesn't really explain it. But I'm guessing the manual. This is why in the past games that came with manuals kind of fix this. And you can, like, if this kind of game came out now, this would be a canned game, terrible game, because there's no, like, there's no manuals anymore. Back in the day, you had time to invest in, like, this.
Yeah.
Don't you think? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is one where I feel if you played it in the past, you're going to have nostalgia for it if you got good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you just picked it up and played it and got frustrated with it, I could see this being a quick, like, oh, you rented it, you played it twice, and then you returned it the same day, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't beat the first level without, like, basically, like, looking up what the heck to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And,
and-
I've had a loose copy sitting in my basement for about a year and a half. And so I definitely did not have the manual for this.
Yeah, so you pick your different, your arm, your torso, your legs, like you're talking about, and changes the moves that you do, how fast the moves are. And yeah, I think in the first level, maybe what you're talking about is the chasm you get to.
Right.
So there's a big gap. And yeah, the first time I played it, I was like, how am I supposed to jump across this gap? But then if you figure out that you jump and then you do your sort of like jump kick in the middle of the jump, and you can eventually sort of float over to the other
If you
side.
have the right legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
I watched the video.
yeah, so it's a little bizarre in that way, because the first time I played it, I actually wasn't able to ever get past that jump, but the second time I changed my loadout and I got past it really easy.
Right.
And it actually probably played most of the way through the game.
Right.
And then the levels themselves are broken up almost like Mario 1, where it's like 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 1-4.
Yeah.
And some of the levels you just walk through and get into fights, and then some of the levels have like a boss at the end, before you go on to the next level. The interesting thing is, like, levels 1-1 through I think 1-4, they're basically the same background, same music. It's
Yeah.
just the color palettes get swapped
Right.
on things. And so
Yeah, the coloring I like, but I felt like so there just wasn't much variety.
yeah, no, there's not much variety at all.
Yeah.
This is a Super Genesis looking game,
Right.
and it is a Super Genesis sounding game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought the mechanics are kind of clunky. too,
Yeah,
for-
they are. I mean, the animations. I mean, the stuff that sticks out is the characters are really big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And there's really good animation.
Yeah,
Yeah, when
it
stuff
looks
Yeah, it
explodes
looks
and
really,
stuff,
really good.
yeah.
I almost got the sense that like the move set and at least the defensive moves for sure were all sort of just like half done because there's like a power move, like a more powerful move, but it's also executed much more slowly. And if you try to use it, you almost always get hit. And so really, at least for me, the way that I got the furthest in it was just using sort of the cheapo quick punch, even
Sure.
though
Yeah.
it doesn't do much damage, but you can just stand next to somebody and just keep punching them, and they never
Yeah.
recover enough. Yeah, you just spam it, and they never recover enough to actually hit you back. And then the jump kick also, like, that just moves the health meter of your opponent the regular like baby punch, you know, just a little tiny bit. But like the jump kick
it's like
takes
three
takes like
quarters
it
or-
takes off like
yeah.
half their health. So if you
Yeah.
just get them once or twice with that, so it's a little
It's definitely OP.
yeah, it's a bit unbalanced, I guess,
Yeah.
is what I'm trying to say. But
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole fighting game part of it. Like, you have to know the combination, and the combination varies by if you get a new arm or like your new leg. So you can't do the same. It's not like everybody has the same super move or power move. You literally have to change your inputs, and if you were just hitting the 3 buttons that came with it, you wouldn't be able to realize what you can do.
Yeah.
Which you could do some cool stuff, ripping off arms.
yeah, and there's brutalities, you know. You
Yeah.
can,
Right.
yeah, they're sort of like these.
Ripping off arms are robots.
Yeah, they're basically like the special moves or whatever. But the other thing I thought was funny is you could tell that they're pushing the Genesis to the limits because there is only one character you're fighting at a time on any
Right.
given screen.
Yeah.
But the thing I thought was kind of funny is like you beat your opponent, and then your opponent kind of like scraps out, falls in a little pile of metal or whatever, and then there's like this
Explosion.
10-second delay, and you're like I just want to move on to the next fight, but it like makes you sit there, and then the little pile of scrap goes and blows up,
Yep.
and then you can walk to the next thing.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of funny, but but the music was really good. Like I said, my favorite part of it was the music being, even though it is repetitive, I kind of liked it just because it's got that you know, kind of, it's got like if a game sounds like a Genesis game, this game sounds like a Genesis
Yeah.
game. And the animations and stuff are really good. So I know people probably bag on this game, but I actually kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah,
being that it is kind of still bad.
Yeah, it's like different enough. It's a curiosity, but I still think it's pretty hard to get into if you're going into it like you do most video games, which is like, okay, I'm going to figure out what the deal is with this and kind of move on. The fact it's robots, the fact you can do certain things like by ripping off an arm and then putting it on yourself, if they would have
Yeah.
made that mechanic a little easier and you're constantly like just, you know, and you can rip the torso off, but in order to like do that, you have to have such a specific move that's so hard to pull off. It is so much like, I feel like this was a robot fighting game, and then it got 60% through development as a robot fighting game, and then someone said, hey, we need to be different, why don't we do this? And they kind of ham-fisted it together. It feels like a game that in 2016 was found as source code and then came out, and everybody got their rocks off about this new thing they're going to play, and it's this unfound Genesis game. And then when people play it, they're like, oh, it was unfound for a reason, but I'm going to pretend I love it. That's what this game kind of feels like. Is that dogging it? Sorry.
No,
it is.
it does kind of have that feeling. I approach it more from I would have liked this actually, I think, back as a kid, which is one thing with it. And then, so I probably would have liked it back in the day. And then the second thing is, if you view it kind of like you view a movie that you're watching for fun, knowing that it's going to be a bad movie,
Yeah.
then you can
Yeah.
kind of get into it.
Oh, yeah.
If that makes sense. Like if you know it's a B horror film and it's going to be campy and sort of, you know, it's like watching most of Jean-Claude Van Damme's like early movies. You know what you're going to get, but you kind of expect it. And so you're
Right.
okay with it.
And then you get a time cop, and you're pleasantly surprised.
yeah. I mean, but that's the way this game sort of feels to me.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't have a big history with it or anything like that. But I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. I still couldn't get past the fact I was like, whoa, how is this a pick at first? Until I realized, like, later when I had to watch people who knew what they were doing and tell you what the inputs are, I'm like, oh, okay, you kind of have to get good at it. But the game doesn't. I wish it's tutorials. The game doesn't really tell you how to get good at it, and I guess games back then never did, right? They don't
True.
kind of like say like, hey,
True.
but if this game would have somehow had a modern tutorial, which is impossible. It's like asking it to skip ahead in game history when tutorials really realize like, oh, you can make a game as complicated as you want. You just need to explain it. The fact it wasn't explained lets me think this was back in the day of the whole like, hey, we can't make our game too easy and beatable because then people won't rent it as much. They don't want to fly through games. So, things are made hard for only the reason of money, not so much for like the challenge of being a good game. Because if I played this, on a desert island, I'd have to spend a long time just figuring out the move set that wasn't set up. So that part kind of stinks. And it is kind of longish. Like when they spread out that, like what you said about like blowing stuff up, it's like a little artificially spread out.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's a very, like I said, even the levels themselves, within each world, if you want to call it that, 2 1 2 2 2 3 1 1 1 2. Like I said, they're basically the exact same level over and over and over again, just with palette swaps.
Yeah. But the
so-
graphics, I shouldn't knock it. The graphics, like you said,
I mean,
real
like I said,
good.
they really look good. It's just there's not many of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, this would have been back in the day. This would have been, at least in my view, a very solid rental pick.
Sure.
It wouldn't have been something you wanted to spend your hard-earned, lawn mowing money on.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I could see getting good at it being nostalgic. Like if it was randomly a game that I played, I get it. I just think,
Well, especially
it's
if you
a
were into
hard
the whole robots thing.
Yeah, and the cover. Let's talk about that. The cover's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
The cover is what probably sold that game for however many it sold. I don't know how well.
Yeah, Cyborgs. There was like a whole thing about Cyborgs back in like
there was. Yeah,
late 80s, early 90s. I mean, you had all your Terminator stuff going on.
Yeah.
Japan had Ultraman, had kind of made a comeback around this
RoboCop.
time.
So dumb question. What's the difference? Cyborg is basically a human that has mostly like, it's not a robot. It's
like a machine with
part.
human elements.
Yeah.
or is it a human with machine elements?
I
think
like to
it's
think
human.
it's more machine than human,
Okay.
but
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe it's the reverse.
Well, what's
Yeah, I
is
don't
the
know.
brain? Yeah, you're right. Well, I always feel like, why would a robot want anything to do with our human fleshies? It has to only have the brain
To
part.
understand us better.
Well, no, I meant like you're getting
to
real
the-
deep there.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I mean,
to,
that's
to
why
destroy us, you must first understand
I mean, if
us.
I was
Yeah.
a robot, that's what I'd want. But,
Well,
you know,
I
it's just
think
me.
it was more you got the brains of the human mixed with the brute force and the repairability. That's like, cyberpunk, right? Of like, well, we need the machine stuff to make us better. Machines don't need us to make them better. Machines are already kind of better than us, but they don't have a soul, right?
Right.
Yeah, we're getting real deep in it now, aren't we? That it gets more
unless
into our second
we're
game.
unless we're all inside of a
Actually,
machine.
isn't that funny? That we'll save our second game for a second game. So let's finish up Cyborg Justice here. And also, is there any justice to be made by these cyborgs? I guess, right? It's just justice of the fist, right?
Yeah, well,
Judge,
yeah.
and law.
Cyborgs apparently have a very, a very stringent and complicated sense of morality.
Yeah, just
in
death in
order to
combat.
be, in order to be dispensing this sort of justice.
Yeah.
yeah. But Cyborg Justice, I will say, it is swift and
Yeah,
and
and
it
ones
is-
and zeros.
Yeah.
If you're a one, you're going to be a zero. That's on the back of the box. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. We should get to the back of the box. Do you have it up or
No, I need to pull it up.
All right. So the back of the box of Cyborg Justice. What do you got?
Yeah, so I think this is the North American version, but it says create the ultimate cyborg warrior. Build your ultimate high-tech soldier. Arm it with lasers. Freaking lasers.
Yeah, I know. Is it with a Z or an S?
It's with an S, unfortunately. Yeah. Warhammers and steel-ripping hypersaws. Oh, yeah. Combine a flamethrower with with superpowered legs for awesome spin attacks and annihilating kicks.
Now, we see the problem here. If you think about it, a flamethrower with speed means you're toast yourself.
Yeah,
If
you
think
don't want
about
to
it.
get too fast with your
Right.
flamethrower. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Destroy your foe and take its weapons for the next battle. Build 216 different cyborgs. Combine bodies, legs, and arm weapons for murderous power.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Murderous power.
Murderous power.
We need more murderous power in the back of
I
our
know.
video game boxes.
Mom, can I have this game?
Yeah.
Son, it says murderous power.
I know. It was actually second in our Video Game Dad podcast title for our. We were really close. It was like Video Game Dads or Murderous Power.
Yeah.
You might have made a mistake.
Yeah. Oh, whatever, Mike. That was your.
This
band.
is a really good back of the box.
I know that was your band name in middle school.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Murderous power.
We're Murderous Power.
Yeah, we play industrial hardcore.
Yeah.
Techno core.
In the middle of your gym. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Nobody understands us.
God, disco.
My hair covers my eyes, which means I'm cooler than you.
Battle with brutal acrobatic somersaults, flying kicks, tackles, and body slams. In head-to-head mode, settle who's the dominator in a single duel to the death for 1 or 2 players. Unfortunately, we didn't play this 2-player.
No.
Well, I say unfortunately. Maybe it was fortunate we didn't
Yeah,
play
I mean,
2-player.
we could pop it in now, but I didn't have a chance to do that.
I did not.
Yep.
But yeah, so Cyborg Justice. I guess you guys have a baby bottle score for this one?
Yeah, I'll let you guys go first.
I'm going to give it a 3,
Okay.
which
Okay,
is which is
yeah, I
probably
was-
too much, but
Yeah,
that's
I
where
was
I'm
gonna,
at.
I was gonna go 2.5. It's just a little too clunky, a little tough to understand. I didn't like the flow of the game. I thought, when you compare it to other games like Hyperstone Heist or Streets of Rage type games, it just seems to flow a little better overall.
Sure.
So I'm gonna go 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving it a 3 because it's a good bad game.
Yeah, I mean, it has
Yeah.
it has some good elements. I mean, the different options for different weapons and stuff is cool back then. But
All right.
yeah,
I'm gonna go actually two baby bottles, but I'll say with an asterisk, if you get good at it, I could see how it's a 4, and I could see how it's a 4 to whoever recommended this a few years ago. Like, oh, Cyborg Justice, I like that. I could see how someone could get this to be a 4.
yeah.
But for most people, the cost of entry, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it kind of holds up.
Yeah.
I'm giving it 2 just because of robots and
Lasers.
cool moves
Yeah.
and cool concept, but that's it. Gameplay,
Yeah.
all the other stuff. So we have a 2, a 2.5, and a 3 for an
I think
average
it's priced-
score of 2.5.
Priced appropriately at $8.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So Cyborg Justice. It's
That's
a
it?
game. No. Yeah, it's good. Thank you for and hey, like I said, know that I get it. It's still good. We're not trying to dog it, but like I don't know.
No,
It's-
I've had it for like 2 years and I never played it. So
Yeah.
it gave me a reason to play it. and
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's got the robots thing going for it. So moving on to Binary Domain.
Binary Domain.
Binary Domain.
Ben's
Ben's pick, and also was in the book club by. Ooh, I should look up who put that in there. I probably said it last time, but who submitted Binary Domain? Alexander. It was our 28th submission way back when, and we can call it his or mine. We'll just both say that way. It
Ours.
comes off the list, right? But first time picked a listener pick as my own pick, but that's because I really wanted to talk about this game. I wanted to talk about this game a while, and it also follows the robots theme. What kind of facts you got spitting at us, Adam?
Yeah, so this was developed by Ryu Ga Gotaku Studio and Devil's Details, which was the PC version or the PC port.
Published by
Sega.
Yeah, Sega.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this released in 2012. It looks like in all territories, February of
Yep.
2012.
And they are the developer that did Yakuza, in other words. So
Okay.
the Yakuza games, if
Yep.
you've heard of them or familiar with them, and also Vanquish was kind of in the same breadth as this. But go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, it says the developer, I guess the guy who's the brains behind this and Yakuza is the same guy, Toshihiro Nagoshi. If I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yep.
And a complete copy of this will run you between $10 and $12.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty affordable game.
Yep. And you can even I'm surprised you can maybe even get it cheaper than that. I'd say 10,
yeah.
12 is like full retail.
That's full retail, yeah.
Yeah, it has not been it's not really a popular game. This game came out when, let's talk about, I guess, quickly what it is. It's a third-person cover shooter
Yeah, like over the shoulder.
Over the shoulder, set in a kind of neo-futuristic Tokyo. 2060 is the year.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So less than 40 years in the future at this point. It was about 50 at the time.
We'll
when
have
it
to,
came
when
out.
we're podcasting in 2060, we'll have to come back to this and see how accurate it was.
Yeah, and it's also kind of a squad-based shooter too. It's just meant for one player to go through the campaign, but you also can control your squad mates.
Yeah, you can choose who you want to
Yeah.
have in your squad.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. And so we don't always talk critical acclaim just because we know it. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't popular because this kind of genre of game was really pushed in this generation.
Yeah, it was a crowded field.
Yeah, and
I never heard of it.
Oh yeah, and
Like, when it came out, yeah.
Yeah, or even now, like honestly, most people haven't. That's why we kind of talk about it. I think it's a very like overlooked gem, underrated, and for whatever reason, it got lost in the shuffle because there was a ton of games that Spec Ops: The Line even was out there too, and there were so many Gears of War type games.
That's kind of what I
out.
was thinking. Is it if I could think of like a single game where it probably
Max Payne
got
3.
overshadowed, it would have been like the Gears of War franchise
Yep.
because it looks. If you're just sort of the casual observer, you could be like, oh, well, they're just trying to do what God of War is doing on Xbox. Kind
Yeah,
of thing.
and I think Max Payne 3 came out like the same year around then too, and that was the one that probably got so much attention that this one, like you had to be looking out for it. It didn't get much backing. It was, and also like looking at how this was published and how this is made, it was basically a Japanese attempt at an American game.
Yeah.
Right.
With the concepts that they thought was interesting.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting because even like sort of the artwork and character models, they don't really look Japanese, but they don't really look American. They look kind of like you're saying, sort of a blend of the two.
Yeah. Kind of like what their concept is of, well, this is what a Western audience would want out of a shooter, but it definitely has a Japanese style. So real quick, the story, I mean, in a nutshell, and you guys can kind of fill it in, is basically, it's kind of Terminator meets Blade Runner meets Ghost in the Shell. You are in that neo-futuristic time where robots have taken over, right? Similar, interesting story of like, hey, always the thought and the concept and the morality of like, you don't want robots being too human. You also don't want to, for many reasons, right? Because you don't want them like taking things over, and there's rules to it. Like you can make a robot sentient, like realize what they are, but you can't then give them a humanistic form, and that's the rules, right? So in this futuristic, the rules are, hey, robots are basically helpers doing menial task jobs, waiters, the stuff nobody really wants to do. They already had like a post-apocalyptic, a lot of flooding, so now they're rebuilding, and this city in particular uses robots like for everything, and it's worked out great until they found out that Among Us, knowing that like the technology of robots, everybody looks like a legit robot, like kind of a Terminator robot without looking like one, like metal encased. They started having robots that looked exactly like humans, which has been done to death in a lot of sci-fi, like but they call them hollow children, right? It's kind of a good way of putting it. Or replicants, if you're from Blade Runner, how like you don't know if, like the whole Blade Runner thing, if you know that movie and if you like it, you'd love this movie because it's the thought of like, well, what if a human robot didn't know they were a robot, right? That's interesting. Right. I think that's great. And this game, I think, tackles it in such a cool way while still being an overwrought kind of action game. They show this cinematic sequence that made the trailer. So if you haven't played this game and you're just listening to us casually, you should go back and look at the release trailer of this game because it is so gripping. And when I saw it, I was like, I need to know more about it back in 2012, 2013, because it hit the bargain bins pretty quickly. And it basically shows that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these people are becoming self-aware, and they've grown up and lived, and they're humans, and they all of a sudden now are like creating all this like they're used as like they're all of a sudden like activated, right? The scary thing is like now you're going to activate and become like a bomb and like hurt people and like take over. And then this part where this guy realizes, he goes to the place that turned him into a robot, and then he like kind of very graphically and violently kind of rips his face, and behind it you see a robot face, robot face, and it's like, it's so grotesque. It only works because it's that. Now, that being said, that would give me nightmares if I was a kid seeing that, but now it's doable. You're just like, whoa, that was legit. Like, he's a robot underneath and he didn't realize it his whole time. So it's not like these are like Terminator, like I know I'm a robot, I'm pretending. But now they're finding out, well, if there's all these people that are around, who did this, and why did this happen? And this is a break. So you have to find the guy that created these robots that are humans that, basically you jumped ahead 100 years in technology. No one knew it. And now that we did, we have to find the person that created this technology and stop them. And that's when the player comes in. You are part of this like rogue squad of throwaway characters that need to find this guy. And now that the robots have all turned all of a sudden on you, and there's all these robots everywhere, you now have to get to this guy. But now every robot in the city, basically, unless they're a complete servant robot, goes.
It's kind of funny too, though, because
that's the story. So anyway,
and the game really plays on like this team element thing where there's all these different characters, male, female, and so on. And if you think of like every late 80s, early 90s action movie, Predator, or anything like that, where you have like all these big personalities, like like bad acting, big personality, sort of all in a game. But the game, one of the kind of the hooks, I guess, of this, or one of the things that made it unique, or at least they attempted to use to make it unique, is the audio, the voice recognition. Because if you have a microphone, you can tell your squad, follow me, or cover me, or these kinds of things. And there's all these different commands that you can put in, and you can train your voice to it and stuff. So depending, you don't have to use those. You can still bring up a little menu and select them manually. But that is one of the things that kind of makes it unique. And then it also changes based on if your teammates ask you for help, or if they say things to you, there's sort of like loyalty of your teammates rewarded to you depending on how you respond to them. So if you help them out, they help you out. If you if you ignore them, they'll ignore you. And those kinds of things. It's not like real deep or anything, but it is kind of interesting that they at least tried to incorporate that a little bit into the end of the gameplay.
Yeah. Did either of you try the voice commands?
I did not.
I did a little bit. I played it on PC.
Okay.
But yeah, I did a little bit. It works. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
I remember just reviews saying like, gosh, it's a great concept. And at the time, again, now it's not novel, but in 2012, it was kind of a cool concept. But also you didn't have microphones as readily available. People didn't, like a microphone for a PS3 and 360 wasn't as easy to come by.
Yeah, no, I remember actually looking for one because I got the little Bluetooth, dork earpiece
I had the
thing.
exact same thing.
Yep. I ended up having one of those too. I didn't end up hooking it up because I just heard everybody say like, hey, it doesn't work that well. So I'm glad to hear it. It worked a little bit for you for your try on PC. But yeah, the characters are interesting. Like, it is 80s movie, like you said. You've got
there's like taglines.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing.
The main character, his name's Dan, and Dan is kind of a everyman soldier guy, which works. But also, I forget who his voice actor is, but I like it because it's a little extra. It's a little like Japanese studio definitely hired this guy, and I'm glad they did because he's a little like, whoa. That's what you get, like you know, and it's not like it's not overly grimacy, which I'm happy with. Not like
kind of you get the sense that it's not bad voice acting, but the voice actors were not together in the studio.
Oh yeah,
you know what I
definitely.
mean? Like all these clips were sort of recorded independently.
So your first person that you're with, your squad grows as you get through the game. It's set up in like 6 different chapters, but kind of the same thing. The chapters are kind of long, and they end with a boss fight. But you're basically kind of going through the city. It's a little bit of a slow burn until you start shooting up the robots. We'll get to that. But like Big Bo is your first person that's in your squad. And if anything, this game has a little bit of meme-ness to it of just being famous for Big Bo. Big Bo is kind of like a huge stereotypical one-lining guy. It's like getting close to being blaxploitation. It's a little much. On his like, hey, I want to do this, and he's like all about like going
Sega
to the
had a bunch of that in some of their games.
Red light district, and then he's always it's more than just like, oh, she's attractive. Like you literally have to get him to not stop in the red light district by answering a question. And this is the thing I remember from my first playthrough is you don't have much time to the questions come up randomly when you're talking. You can't just organically go up to your squad mate and start a conversation. It basically happens like in Last of Us where you're in a quiet moment most of the time and you have an opportunity to answer a question, but the question's really like, for me, difficult to figure out what they want you to say because everybody's different. So like Big Bo wants you to do like the bro kind of answer. And then you have another like sniper girl who's a little more coy, but she's still a tough soldier where you have to like answer her by like being respectful, but still flirty. And if you don't pick the right answer, then instantly it's like, oh, their confidence in you and teamwork has gone down. So then the chances of you saying, hey, go shoot me undercover, maybe 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 chance they won't do what you say. So it's a little surface level. But the problem, too, is if you're going for trophies or trying to max out, if you mess up 1 or 2 of those conversations, you can't get enough right answers to like beat the game with like Big Bo being on your side or whatever. But the team, so basically at Big Bo, you have a lot of stereotypical, but we'd be amiss without talking about one of the teammates, Kane, the robot.
Yeah.
You have a robot on your side, and he is a French-speaking robot that wears a beret. I think he smokes.
I'm sure he does.
And it's so ridiculous, but it works. Like you think this is just too over the top, but I was all about it. Like you need this guy on your team. He's basically the suave like Data from Star Trek meets Antonio Banderas. Is that fair? I don't know. If Data and Antonio Banderas like basically, because he's smooth, but then other times not. Like one point when someone's falling out of the sky, he like grabs the girl and he's like, well, I got her because she's prettier than you. And he's like flying like Iron Man holding this girl, but then when he falls through glass because it's funny. It's definitely funny. And when you first see him like shoot up some people in a cutscene, he goes out like, oh, let me handle this. And then he like annihilates a whole group of robots. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can get with this. I thought I'd be with Big Bo all day, but like this Kane guy, you can't like switch characters, but I do really like what they did. We talked about story, we talked about that. We haven't gotten to gameplay yet, but I like what they did with the characters for sure. Let's talk about, I guess, like locations, gameplay as a cover shooter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very serviceable, cover shooter. I mean, controls well, does all the things it's supposed to do. I guess one of the more interesting elements are that, like we're saying, the enemies are primarily robots.
All robots, yeah.
But it's the destructibility of the enemies that's kind of neat.
Oh,
because when you shoot them, there's pieces that fly off. You can shoot off arms and legs.
Yeah.
They'll still kind of come at you.
Yeah. If you cut them off at the torso, like the top part, like the upper half of their body, like Terminator 1 will like crawl.
Yep.
It kind of gave me like a mech Time Crisis kind of feel.
Yeah. But I mean,
or Dead Space when you cut off a limb.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to kill the entire entity.
Yeah.
In all of these. And then, of course, boss fights and everything else, everything gets bigger and more unique. And then there's some variation in gameplay, where you have to...
There's a jet ski level. You always have to have
jet ski
that.
level. There's a level where you're like sliding down the side of a building, and then you have to move back and forth through this thing.
It feels like you're in a real world, which I liked. Like I was thinking this would be a little more one note, but I like there's like verticality of the level, even though you're still in a linear path. You're not like it's not open world, and nor would you want this to be open world.
They did some things to break it up. So I think but I kind of like that. It makes it a little bit more unique than just a standard cover shooter or a first-person shooter where it's just, walk forward, shoot stuff, walk forward,
And I think that's what, like, over the years, why I like this game is the part that you just talked about. There's something about the feeling of, like, opening a Coke and hearing that, like, or, I don't know, that's a weird thing to say. But for me, like, that's my favorite part of, like, opening. So it's like that first little... It sounded the same way all our life. When you shoot these robots, it's so cool because you feel like you are annihilating these things, but it's not so grotesque because we've all seen like movies with arms and blood and stuff come off, but you are annihilating these robots. And what you said about the blowing up and it's not like practical effects, but like it feels like you're literally like doing something
like
that
heft
feels
to what you're doing.
It's satisfying. And if you didn't play it and maybe it's not your game, just watch some gameplay. I've never seen gameplay feel so satisfying as this, which is why like this is again I'm biased. I really like this game. I wanted to talk about it, but like that is my kick of why I go back to this game and think like, oh yeah, this is why this game is good, because these robots also, they all have the red eyes, which are scary, and when they're crawling towards you, on their thing, and when you finish them off, you don't feel like, I'm a bad person. Like, why is this primal thing? Like, no, I could kill this robot. He's just a robot. He's not real. These aren't the human-looking robots. It'd be different if they made them all those, like, Hollow children. Then that would be a cheap cop-out. But I love that this is, like, the best Terminator game that isn't a Terminator game.
Yeah,
ever.
and this was kind of, I mean, I had already sort of dropped out of first-person shooters for
They're third person.
first person, third person, any of these just kind of shooter, sort of games by this point. But there was sort of a divergence around the time that this came out, where games like Deus Ex and other games where it was like, okay, we're going to have a shooter, but you're actually going to have to think, and there's going to be a lot of story, intertwined into it, and maybe even branching pathways. And it's not just going to be, Doom or, some other thing. And even Doom has changed into that sort of formula, since. But it's not just going to be, a maze, walk forward, just find the exit, kind of game. But it was at the beginning of all that. But like I said, because there were so many other games kind of trying to push that same boundary around that same time, that it just kind of got overstepped, I think.
Yeah, I agree. The boss fights. Okay, so what I like about these are they're very big. One of the first
Cinematic.
Cinematic, and kind of if you liked Vanquish, if you played that, I mean, we can't help but talk a little bit about Vanquish there. But the boss fights feel so kind of epic. They're still like any other boss fight. If it's a big mech thing, you shoot its legs until you kind of or you stun it, but it kind of it breaks up. It kind of turns into an arena third-person shooter.
Sort of, but you feel outmatched.
You do. Yeah, you definitely do. And your squad, for the most part, I mean, some of the clunky stuff is sometimes it's funny. We always talk about AI. Your own squad's AI is maybe passable. It's good. It's good enough. It doesn't get in the way to the point where, but sometimes they actually get in the way.
They actually do help, which some games
yes.
they just pretty much don't even need to be there. So.
If you got one guy that you're trying to shoot or one robot you're trying to shoot that's around a corner, eventually if someone else has got a better angle, you could just hang back and know he's going to kill that one, which is good. If there's one or two left, I mean, if they're overrun, you have to save them. You have to keep medics. It's got that whole thing about hey, if you're down, you have to call your teammates to help you and give you a quick med kit. But what I like is the AI of the robots themselves is the other thing that it's good we don't think about as being good, but this is one of those reasons why in my mind I think I like is the gunplay, the action, the way you can kind of shoot these robots. The atmosphere is right up my alley. The story I think is good, but also the AI of the robots. They flank you, they cover. Yeah, they're not as worried about dying as a normal one that just hides behind something. They come out and get you, but they do eventually if there's no movement and you can't quite get an angle out, they're gonna have a strategy to get closer to you.
Yeah.
Which back in the day and even still now, AI always kills games if it's a bad AI. And to this day, there's even in some Mario games or some, there's times where you're well, that's silly. That person's not doing the right thing. Or some of these high AAA action titles don't have as good of AI as these robots do that you're facing. But you always feel like you can understand where they're from, and it's not cheap. And some of these robots you're shooting, there's good variety too. Did you guys see the ones with the blades on their legs?
Yeah.
That one ugh. When you shoot them and they jet around real quick and they jump on the wall and they come and kick you. I don't know. Robots for me, Grayson was saying last episode, they kind of scare me if they're done right. Some of these robots are pretty. Ugh.
Yeah. They definitely did a good job with the different effects between the different robots to give you a little variety.
Yeah, definitely. Music, what'd you guys think?
It was about what you would expect. I mean,
Right.
it's what you expect out of something like this. So it's good. It's not bad. It's I don't know that it was that memorable, honestly, but it's
No.
But it does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. Pro tip, I found if you turn down the action and turn up the music, it actually works out better. The mix isn't good in it. So if you actually make it artificially, the music a little higher, it kind of makes all the battles and everything a little cooler. There's a train sequence. Like I said, there's funny things to break it up. I mean, if you haven't play through it, see if you like it, or watch a little gameplay. The story and the endings. So I guess we talk about spoilers here. There's a lot of different endings.
I didn't play all the way through it.
Okay. So when you get to the end, depending on your relationship with your teammates, has a lot to do with your ending.
Okay.
Once you beat the last bad guy, like you kind of find out, like at one point, okay, so the first time I played it, if you are not really close to Big Bo turns into the enemy at the end and like totally
really?
tries to wreck you, and then you have to like fight Big Bo. But then another one, it's kind of like it's an alternate path instead of like a good and bad path, because like why would Big Bo in one ending be perfect and your friend, and you ride off in the sunset, and another one like you got like he's evil, like he's the surprise like evil guy at the end. So I don't know how many different ones there are. I want to say I should have researched this too, but there's a lot of different endings. So you kind of have to see all the different ones to kind of take it. But I like the fact that like your ending is pretty unique, even though you're always getting the same conclusion, but it's a lot of times just based on your interactions with all those guys. The length I think is good, but anyway, it's a good kind of squad-based third-person shooter if you are or not into that. It's from an older generation. You know what I wish? Did you guys get the Vanquish Bayonetta 2-pack that released in PS4, Adam?
The which one? I'm sorry.
The Vanquish,
two-pack?
and
I don't have
Bayonetta.
it. Oh, I take that back. I think I do have it.
So they re-released like 4 or 5 months ago Vanquish, which I guess we could talk about. That one has more of a cult following. It also didn't sell that well, made by Sega. But it is a more run and gun action stylistic Neo shooter, which I prefer Binary Domain over Vanquish, but I don't think they're almost that comparable, even though made by Sega, futuristic kind of third person over the action shooter.
Yeah, see, I played Vanquish. I didn't play this.
Yeah. And so what I wish is when they release this, they would have made it Vanquish and Binary Domain re-released and like up-resed or whatever. I haven't played the new Vanquish to see what they did. I think they didn't clean it up a lot. I mean, it looks better and plays better. It's 60 frames a second or whatever, but they included Bayonetta, which to me, I mean, Bayonetta is a great game if you haven't played it, but I feel like, gosh, I know why they picked Bayonetta. It would sell more, but if they would have made this double pack of Binary Domain and Vanquish, more people would have started talking about Binary Domain and have played it. Because I would love, it's dated. I think the graphics look great, and I was surprised the art style makes it hold up. So it holds up really well for being an 8-year-old game. But if they were to make this like super polished and clean some things up, oh man, I would just love the heck out of this game.
Yeah,
like if it had modern,
brought back and did a part 2.
Yeah,
and just as an aside, so that I've mentioned it, you're talking about Bayonetta. If you go back and look at the reviews from the first Bayonetta, they are not good.
Oh yeah,
and that's because the initial release of Bayonetta was sort of like not really finished.
Right.
And but don't be dissuaded by those reviews, because once you download it and patch it, it's like a much better game.
Right.
And would have been like 9s and 10s everywhere.
Right.
Well, maybe not 10s, but it would have been like 8, 9, most reviews.
Yeah, that actually, it's funny you bring that up. That was a lot to do with how people have changed their reviews since Bayonetta's release, because this, as the story goes, the 360 of Bayonetta was a good game. The port to PS3 was full of bugs.
Yeah, and I actually played that when it first came out, put it aside, and then played it again like 2 years later.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is really good.
Yep. Yeah. And because the PS3 was harder to deal with back then, and they hadn't quite figured it out yet when it came out, the PS3 one, it was the first time people like came out and said, like, most of the time this is comparable. One's slightly better than the other, and most of the time they will go towards the system that has less power because they have to like make the game and basically port it over to the PS3, but you can't port a 360 to the PS3. You kind of have to make them together. So I still think that was kind of on the developers. But yeah, the scores went down because of that. And since then, because it was such a good game and it took so long for the sequel to come out, I think reviewers in general started to say, hey, we can't do this again. And it's funny, we talked about Cyberpunk last time. I don't think that's in the same class. Cyberpunk is not just fixing bugs. That's window dressing due to kind of complexities of a little bit of development from 2 different systems. This is like Cyberpunk, there's a lot of things drop the ball there. But yeah, Bayonetta, definitely good. Bayonetta 2.
Any of these Sega published games from around this era, though, are all, they all kind of have a similar feel, and I always feel like they all sort of undersold, but they're all pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me quickly read the back of the box. A Binary Domain. If we were in Blockbuster. Let's take a trip. Oh, I see the front of it. It looks generically, I don't know what this is. I will say the front of the, if you've seen Binary Domain, I think the box art not so great. It's a little
It's a little bro dude, a little generic.
yeah, and a little soft looking. And also, if you look at it real long, look at his right arm compared to where the guy he's holding's leg is. Like the anatomy doesn't make sense. His leg goes through his.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at a picture of this, look up Binary Domain, and then look at the guy in the front, Dan, and then look at his right shoulder, and you'd see that like it's kind of impossible to hold a guy this way. And then his hand coming up around his thigh. But you got Big Bo there in the background, the scary little robots. You flip it over and you see. Where does machine end? 2060 AD. AD, got to make sure we know this. Tokyo, Japan. The Amada Corporation breaks the Geneva Code clause of 21 by creating, or breaks clause 21 by creating humanoid robots that believe themselves to be human. These so-called hollow children have infiltrated the human population, blurring the lines between man and machine. Dan Marshall and the Rust crew are tasked to find Amada at all costs. Will the team's human bond be their greatest strength, or will they fail to the machines? It says, where does machine end and humanity begin? Earn your squad trust and rewards in battle. Analyze each enemy type and efficiency, dispose of them, and take your battle online for up to 10 players. Online, I'm sure, is maybe dead, so darn. Oh, I forgot to analyze your enemy types. It does have the whole, like, if there's a guy with a shield, you shoot him in the foot to knock him down. The robots all hop on one leg trying to kill you. It's funny almost to a point. You're like, you could be that cruel because if there's one robot left, and you could just kind of pick off a limb here and there, and he's like, you're still trying to get me, aren't you?
It's funny.
It's definitely
That was
like
probably one of my favorite parts, actually.
yeah, it's like ants and a magnifying glass kind of thing.
It is funny that became such a big deal in this shooter and in some others. But I remember when GoldenEye was coming out for N64, I remember reading a preview, and the preview was making this big point of if you hit them in the arm or the leg, they'll favor that extremity.
Oh yeah.
And then also there's different points for, it hurts them worse if you shoot them in the head or the torso, versus the torso versus an arm or a hand or a foot.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, whoa, the game knows.
I know.
Yeah.
I would do
does
that
this
too.
math,
Yeah.
But they went from that to this, in
Yeah.
10 years or whatever. So I just think that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, real quick, I guess we should say this wasn't part of our news, but did you hear about the GoldenEye release?
Yeah, I did. That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Completely.
did not. What happened?
Let's finish Binary Domain, and then we'll talk about it real quick. So Binary Domain, baby bottles, you guys.
I'm going to go 4
Okay.
baby bottles.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. 4.
4. Okay. I'm gonna go 5. I'm biased. This is in my top 50 games of all time, which I wanted to tell you guys. I think we should create that 2021. How we give each other assignments. I've been thinking about it, and now that we're older, I think we can get to a point where we can do our own little personal top 50 and maybe release 10 at a time. But I think about it and I don't know. I know the games I like, and this game, are there better games out there? Sure. Max Payne 3 has better graphics and better nuance and stuff, but the story isn't as interesting as this stuff, and I just think this is just the action powers
that list
combined.
is tougher. It'd almost be easier to do top 10 of the decade or something like that, just because
Sure.
50, because it's tough to compare a Mario 3 versus a Binary Domain or a newer game. It's tough to rate them against each other.
Well, again, I think it's a personal top 50.
That's
so
true.
it
That's
can.
true.
That's the thing. When you make a personal list, that's why I said it. Binary Domain, I could pick Rayman Raving Rabbids as my top 50 because of nostalgia, right? You can make it whatever you want. So that's why I think it's not too pressury, and I think it'd be fun. I think a way our listeners could kind of see what our tastes are. Just something to think about. If you guys want that, email us and say that, or give us your own top 50, or say if you've gone through the list, if that'd be something you kind of want to hear. But I kind of want to make that as a thing we can kind of casually do this year.
All right.
At least I've been hankering to do it. So Binary Domain, we have a 4, a 4, and a 5. And with my weighted score, we'll go ahead and give it a 5 all around. Just kidding. I love this game. I understand it's not for everybody, but it totally up my alley. So a wonderful book club picks, robot inspired. Those are our book club picks this episode. For our next episode, we'll get to that here in a second. But real quick, let's talk about GoldenEye, this release. So basically, source code came out for an unreleased GoldenEye remaster, a la Halo, right?
Yeah.
Kind of the Halo remaster.
Yeah, the Halo
Okay.
remaster is really good. I've actually played through the first 2 Halos on the Halo remaster.
Yeah, yeah. And so this was a game that was supposed to come out, and due to licensing issues, it never did. And it's been kind of DOA for years, over 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing, and it's even more than licensing issues, I guess. I was reading an article about it, I think just yesterday, where it was basically done, or very close to done.
Yeah.
And everyone was saying that, Microsoft bought Rare and those types of things.
Sure.
But they were saying it was all done, everybody was on board, it was all okay to do, and they had a team working on it diligently, basically had it all the way finished, and then I guess fired it through Nintendo. And then some muckety muck at Nintendo basically found out about it or was unaware of it somehow.
Yeah.
And then just essentially nixed the entire thing.
Yeah, somehow. So that, if you were following it and you knew it was coming out, it's an old story, but it kind of died there. And most of the time it's like, well, if they didn't say a release code or someone doesn't try to find a thread, it's dead. And it's been dead. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this thing came out. Now, unfortunately, it's not like on Xbox Live. It's not a legit copy. You have to do workarounds. If you Google and you're smart enough, some of our listeners obviously are the type that can get this thing running. You can get it running through PC with like basically an Xbox 360 emulator. This is running on like 360 kind of hardware. So luckily the emulation's out there. But basically it is old GoldenEye played in HD with the ability to toggle to new updated up-res graphics, of 7 years ago. So not to the 4K HD craziness, but it plays like GoldenEye.
And it looks really good.
And it looks good, and it's not like kind of
It's got
cruddy.
twin stick support.
Sure.
Yeah, twin
so
stick
like
support.
Another upgrade over the Wii version, kind of.
Yeah, and the Wii version. Oh, yeah,
Pretty sure
no.
they made like a Wii. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Wii version wasn't like a direct port. Like, think of it as like, they made a Wii version. They made a GoldenEye game also for like the Move on PS3, but it basically was like inspired by the old game.
Sure.
But they would,
Different developer.
yeah, different
Yeah.
developer, and they didn't use the original source code. They basically copied all the elements and kind of made it like, well, if you remember the dam level, we'll start the dam,
Yeah.
but then all of a sudden, like, the dam isn't the same length. You don't end it the same. It's kind of like inspired by, right?
Sure.
It's like games that is heavily inspired, but this is like the direct. They used the code, got the code running, and switching to real time of like, if you ever wanted to like go back and play 64 GoldenEye, but play it with like new polish. That's what this game was. And a lot of people, that is the itch they wanted to scratch with the old GoldenEye. So it's available for you. You probably have heard about it if you're into that thing. But if you're, a computer player and that sounds interesting, do some Googling and see if you can figure out how to do it. It's not super hard, I guess.
One interesting thing is, so I played through Halo 1 and 2 with Grayson. Mm-hmm. And you can toggle on the fly between the old graphics and the new graphics. He prefers the old graphics.
Oh, that's funny.
I thought that was so weird.
Huh.
He's like, I would switch it between. He'd be like, leave it on this one, and it's like the old muddy looking,
Yeah.
non-textured. Just basically looks terrible by today's standards.
I wonder if it's just because it's a little more cartoony.
I don't know, but he really prefers playing it on the old textured maps than versus the new ones.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was kind of a neat little thing to come out. Moving on. Okay, moving on. I think it's good to maybe we can combine segments of sometimes we have some pickups, sometimes not. Sometimes we have time to play something outside of our book club. So we're gonna call this Paternal Pick Up and Play.
Oh,
Huh?
yeah.
Yeah, because it has our pickups and our play, and we like things that are pick up and play, easy to do. So Paternal Pickups and Play. You guys picked up something and played it? I can tell you, I finally played that Hades.
Hades? Oh, yeah. Did you like it?
Yeah. So Hades, I don't know if you heard, it's by Supergiant Games. Also, like, I love like documentaries too, and we'll do shouts at the end. Shout out to No Clip, which is like this cool video game documentary that's on YouTube that you can Patreon, but he like does real deep dives and a lot of cool stuff, high production value, and did like a 5-part series in this Hades before it came out.
Okay.
And I like watched it all before I even played it. And it was really cool. This game is like reviewing as good as like, Ocarina of Time, like getting a lot of Game of the Year awards and like it's really up there. It's like a solid like 9.5 game that like everybody's loving and it's been out. Supergiant did Bastion They did Pyre. They did
Resistor
Transistor.
or Transistor. Sorry.
Yeah, no. They kind of do a genre I don't usually like as far as perspective. It's isometric.
Okay.
It's an isometric perspective for a lot of their games. So up into, but yeah, I like it a lot. Like Hades is really good. It's like number 4 on Switch. You can get it on.
Yeah.
Is it on like PS4 download? And all
No,
that
it's.
stuff?
I think it's exclusive to Switch, maybe for a year or something
Wow.
like that. So
Okay.
yeah, Switch
And
and
PC, of
Switch and
course.
PC are the only 2 things you can play it on. I mean, I've played it on PC rather than Switch.
Yeah.
And
Steam is killing it.
yeah, I mean, if they, yeah, Steam really is killing it. But if if they release a physical, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, and I think the reason, or part of the reason for its popularity, is that it scratches a lot of itches. And what I mean by that is, if you like RPGs, you're going to like it. If you like action games, you're going to like it. If you like bullet hell reactionary like shooters, you're going to like it.
Right.
If you like adventure games, you're going to like it. If you like mythology kinds of things, you're going to like it.
Yeah, story-driven
Yeah,
stuff.
if you like really story-driven, like almost like visual novel kind of stuff,
Yeah,
you'll like
smart. It's a
So-
smart game. You could tell smart people made it. Is that a weird thing to say? Like you could just feel like the quality.
Oh
of
yeah,
it.
yeah, and not just that. Like smart people designed it,
Sure.
But there's a lot of real intellect behind the way that it works.
Yeah.
Behind the way it's put together, behind the writing.
Yeah.
Like everything was very, very deliberate and very planned in the game.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, and it plays and does everything exactly the way that it's supposed to. But there's
Right.
like layers on top of layers as far as interactions.
Right.
Yeah.
And fine tuning is what I'd say. So yeah, you really should check out that No Clip documentary and because it's really cool to like watch that because it makes you appreciate the game even more. So I finally played it. So it is basically like you're the son of Hades, or no,
You're the son of Hades.
yes,
Your name is oh god, I'm blanking on it.
where
Yeah, he's a made-up character. I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're the son of Hades, and then all of the other characters are there that you would expect, like Nyx and Achilles, and
Right. Right.
Aphrodite and Chaos and
Yeah.
everybody else. So
Yeah, and the writing and the everybody has voiced. You're basically trying to work your way out of hell, and every time you die, you start back at the beginning. But you do kind of level up and progress, kind of like an RPG.
yeah,
And everything's very fair and fun, and you learn as you go. You can pick your loadout of your weapon before you start, and it's kind of like it feels kind of like. I'm not super into boxing, but it kind of feels out like if you can just go out and do one round of boxing and then know that no matter what, you get to like reset yourself. Like, I don't want to box ever because I know too much about health and head injuries. But if there's a way I would know, like, hey, the only way you get good at boxing is starting to box. I don't want to get hit. But if
Right.
I knew I got hit and no matter what, at the end of the round 1, I'd start over and all my injuries would be gone. But now I've gained the confidence of knowing when to duck and weave. Like, that's why, like, people who get into boxing, kickboxing, good for them and doing all the practicing. But I'm like, you learn by doing, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in the ring, you could practice all you want. You get your experience in the ring, just like in anything. Like, you get your experience when you're actively doing it, when you're out of school or whatever. And that's what's cool about this Hades game is like, it just like, hey, you learn by going, you die, you have to kind of start over, but you learn from it. And it's just so cool. And to think a game like this isn't really my speed. And so I'm glad you recommended it, picked it up. It's like $25 on Switch. I've been playing that. Again, not very long. I played it for like maybe 2 hours in total. But such a great pickup. Like, think about picking it up, even though if it doesn't sound like your type of genre, it's rare that I will pick up a game that's not like on my like cone of like games that I kind of like to try out. There's a reason why it's getting like rave reviews across the board. And really cool, really like feels like a quality game. Do wish it was physical, like you said. I think that'll happen eventually.
I think so too. I mean, they released Unlimited Run in the past.
Right. I got Bastion and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely. But yeah, check it out. Hades is feels great. Just kind of like that visceral feeling about your domain, just like satisfying game for sure. Still playing Ring Fit. Doing the workout stuff with that. I actually tried to work out. Have you guys heard of Bar Blend? Okay, well, I thought it had to do with maybe mixing some drinks.
That's what it sounds like. A mixology
No, it's
type of
actually
game.
it's actually
I was gonna say it doesn't sound healthy.
yeah, it's actually complete opposite. It's a ladies workout program, and my wife was like, "Hey, do a barbell class with me," because I've lost a good amount of weight. I've said before, I've lost about 40 pounds. My wife's like really healthy and works out. I need to not be skinny fat. I need to like work out a little more and get back to what I did 15 years ago and get a little stronger. And I did this bar blend with her. Yeah, it's kind of like these moves are not meant for men. Have you guys ever done like I'm not above yoga or anything like that. Like you need to stretch, but so there's like ballet. Men have anatomy. I'll just put it that way. A lot of these moves they say is like, okay, lay on your stomach and put your legs up and start doing scissoring. And I'm like, I can't do that because I'm a boy. It was funny. And my wife was cracking up because I'm like, I can't. It was fun. It's a good workout. Teach their own, but like bar blend is like maybe I'll skip the next one. But my wife was happy that I at least tried it with her. Well, how did I get into that, guys? Why did I start talking about doing basically like Pilates ballerina stuff? But that's all that is.
It's because you're married and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. She was happy. She was like, "Hey, do a barbell class with me," and it was the night before, and it was nice kid free time. I was like, "Yeah, feeling agreeable." I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it," and then I did it today, and.
Yeah, we've been doing some new workout stuff in my house.
Yeah, you got your Pella. Can I spoiler?
Yeah, the Peloton.
Yeah.
So my wife, that's what her Christmas present was. But being the dutiful husband that I am, I ordered it like a month before Christmas, but we just now got it.
Honestly, I think that's pretty good for how
Yeah,
it goes.
there are some people who ordered them before us who still have not got theirs. Yeah.
I knew someone that, just real quick, because of the pandemic, who ordered a treadmill. They ordered it in August, and it just showed up last month.
Wow.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I can believe it.
Go ahead.
So I've been doing some of that. I mean, my wife's been doing more of it, but it has like, the little clip-in biking shoes and all that kind of thing. So I've been trying to get better at cycling, I suppose.
And it's a live class?
Well, there are live classes. There's also recorded classes and things you can do. But it works out pretty well. I mean,
Okay.
I get, big, I get disgusting and sweaty and gross, every time I do it.
That's progress.
Yeah, it's progress. So I've been doing that. I was lifting weights quite a bit before that, but I really need to work on like, cardio endurance kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what this is.
So do you have a camera? I'm really ignorant to it. Like, can they see you?
There is a camera on the bike.
Can
Yes.
if you want to.
But you can't.
Yeah,
there's a little slider. You can close it up.
Yeah.
I mean, being the specimen that I am, I always leave mine open with my shirt off.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I always make like
'em
selfie
drool.
photo
Make 'em
faces.
drool,
Yeah,
yeah.
the whole time I'm on.
And then does your coach say like? Does your coach comment?
Oh yeah, no, people literally fall off their bikes at the side of my beauty.
Okay, I know we're kidding around, but like that part always.
No, I actually keep it close.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
but like that part actually does confuse me. So like, how much is the interaction with your like team?
Honestly, I'm
member?
not really sure because I've only done pre-recorded stuff so far.
Okay.
I haven't logged into any of the live stuff, but it is kind of neat because when you're on a ride, I'm very competitive by nature.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But when you get on a ride, it will show you where you rank among everyone who's done that ride or the people who are currently doing that ride. And so, like, I did a ride earlier today, and there were 45 people also doing it at the same time. So I'm like tweaking my resistance up a little bit higher and pedaling a little bit faster. So I finished first out of the 45 or
Did
whatever.
you finish first?
Yeah.
Nice,
So
good job. What'd you get?
First.
Like a trophy?
No.
Do they keep a
No.
trophy
I
collection?
mean, it does, but it does keep track of every ride that you do, when you do it, how far you went, how much energy you expended, how many calories burned, on and on. But it does keep track of all that. So it's a stupid expensive thing, but it is kind of a primo thing, and it feels nice, and it is kind of cool. But yeah, for me, the competitive part of it, knowing where I rank among everybody else that's also doing it at the same time, like really
Pushes you.
It sounds dumb.
Can
but
you trash talk some of these ladies in California or whatever?
I could, I suppose, if I wanted to.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, I mean, it has your handle on it. If anyone wants to follow me on Peloton, I'm a
God.
video game dad.
Are you
on
serious?
Peloton,
Awesome,
yeah.
video game dad. Yeah, you hear that?
So add me on Peloton if you're also a doofus and have one.
Yeah, if you want to know who the guy is cussing out Karens,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get up this hill faster than you.
Yeah,
It's a
well,
video game, Taz.
that's
We got to
the-
represent.
That's the thing. Like, so I'll be riding it, and it also shows like your approximate age. It'll say like so and so
Approximate.
and city, and it'll say like in their 20s or 30s or 40s or whatever.
this is
And
good
sometimes
stuff.
when I'm like, when I'm virtually passing like a 70-year-old man, I'm like, suck it,
Yeah.
suck it, grandpa.
Can you like road rash them and like
It would
basically
be better, honestly, if you could, but no, you can't.
It'd be
You can't
so
road.
cool.
Yeah, you can't
It's
road rash
version
anybody.
2. Version 2.
Okay.
Yeah,
Make
it's-
it more like a video game.
Yeah, you can barely get off the damn bike when you're done because your feet clip into the things, and I about have to break my ankles every time I get off of it just to get my feet out of it. But I don't know. It's been kind of fun. It's sort of a new toy, and it's kind of video gamey,
That's
sort
cool.
of.
Yeah, if you could like lock up the bike of somebody else.
But yeah, the little video game reptile part of my brain really likes like I said, really likes the competitive interaction part of it.
Yeah,
That's
version
funny.
2 will be like a Mario Kart game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's kind of neat. I know the whole Peloton got that, whatever that controversy about the commercial. I mean, I saw you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah,
I
do.
don't know.
Oh, there was a.
They got some heat.
Yeah, they got a lot of heat.
They had like a extremely fit girl essentially being their commercial, and then they showed her progress, which essentially was nothing.
I got
which is
yeah.
like, and it made it does.
I'll tell you what though.
There are fit people. Like my wife happens to be pretty fit. It does make her feel good to exercise.
Well,
That's like her release. For me, it's like the last thing I want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I
like to
want
eat.
to like relax and watch TV. But for her, it's like if she doesn't go out and run or go out and on our elliptical, like she kind of.
I'll tell you what though. Like
It was mainly the commercial was the husband got it for her as a
and that's
surprise.
true.
That was the
Yeah.
big thing.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
like
yeah.
this fit husband's like,
I
here, I got
already-
you this thing so you won't be a
I do
fatty.
remember this fake controversy.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
I do.
yeah.
But I am part of like a Peloton group on Facebook or whatever.
Wow.
And they
Okay,
are,
wait, I'm glad I'm asking. This
but
is
I mean,
good.
well, Casey, my wife, she put me in this group. She's like, you need to join this group, or whatever. So I joined it. And I was like, these are the most obnoxious people I've ever been associated
tell me about
with.
it. This is good stuff.
Well, I mean, they're just like for a couple of days, everybody was, I'm getting a Peloton bike, or I've got my Peloton bike. Where do I put it in my spacious, super expensive, workout room?
Okay.
And it was a lot. It was a lot of like,
wow.
there was a lot of money flex. There still is. I mean, like every day, there's 2 or 3 like money flex postings.
Interesting.
Like, look at my castle-like domain. Where do I put my Peloton? In it.
God, I would just so like Photoshop something.
But there's that. There's all the 45-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old people like taking embarrassing selfies of themselves. Like duck face, blue steel,
Okay.
all these kind of things. And it's like, you're old, just be old.
Can you add
it's
me to the
fine.
group? I'm gonna totally be like, hey, and I'm gonna like crop something.
It's
say, like,
cringy. I mean,
You should
honestly,
make a really
it's
bad one and then
yeah.
like rate my setup.
yeah.
No, seriously, but there are those. I mean, it's
Yeah.
but it's you see the same thing, and I mean, it sounds
This
dumb.
thing fell off a bike. I got it for
You
$200.
see the same thing in video game groups though too, where people are like,
Right,
"Oh, rate
right.
my, look at
You're
here's
right.
my video game wall," kind of thing, and look at all these things I have. So there's some of that.
Yeah, you
I
should
get, I
post
get
a picture of like your '80s exercise bike, with those fans on it, and then post it and be like,
Yeah, here's my upgrade.
"Yeah, here's my Peloton."
Yeah,
on-
well, and so that's probably my biggest gripe about it, and then the other gripe is that. Depending on the ride and that kind of thing, the instructors are there and they talk, and there's a lot of positive affirmation stuff, like you can do it if you just work harder. And
The
you'll get
center
better
of
every
your
day."
soul is your heart.
Yes,
center.
there's a little bit of that. I don't really respond to that kind of stuff all that well. It's just kind of cheesy.
It pushes some people.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that people need it. It's like every time I pick up like a business book about some sort of economics or something.
Yeah.
Like half the business books are out there actually just like daily devotionals.
Yeah,
Right.
So I
kinda see, like,
I
going
get
to
it that
school.
people need that stuff.
Some
No.
people need a teacher to tell them, and some people can just have the
Kinda,
book and just learn
yeah.
it all by the book.
I
or
just
do it by themselves.
I'm fine with
almost.
people yelling at me or telling me I suck or whatever, but I don't like the positive stuff.
No, I got
So,
you. And I like some of that stuff, but when it's a little much.
yeah.
But some people love that.
And then some of
honestly,
it too,
it's-
you'll be on a ride, and the music will be
fine.
okay, and then it'll be Eminem, and then all of a sudden you're listening to like Christina Aguilera or one of these like teeny bop people that like
Can
I
you
don't even know
vote?
who they are.
That's like what I
Live?
would talk about.
no,
on
like the
ride. I'd be
instructors, I
like,
guess, choose the music or whatever. So it's like, all right, I guess I'm listening to Hanson, and then you just keep riding. So I try not to pay too much attention to the
I
music.
feel like I would
but-
choose the the teacher by his music choice.
Yeah, well, you can. I mean, you can do that. And there's like heavy metal rides and rap rides and, and on and on. But it is kind of neat because they talk to you, but on the bottom of it, it shows you your cadence, which is the speed you're going, and then also the resistance. They tell you to change that. It all changes on your screen. It shows you in real time where you are on these little scales. So you can make yourself be with exactly what you're supposed to be.
So,
and all that.
Joking aside and all the stuff, it sounds like, yes, like rich people will do their thing with it and then turn into a Facebook group. But as far as like a device that will get you into shape, sounds like this thing can do that.
It's cool. I mean, like I said, it's
like a
neat.
technology thing. It sounds cool.
Yeah, my brother-in-law has it. And he loves it. My wife wants it.
Yeah, I mean, we watched a bunch of videos and stuff. There's another bike called the Echelon that I think is also
Just
good.
came out,
and then there's Nordic Track has one called the S221 or 221.
You guys seen that mirror too? There's a mirror thing.
Yeah, but it's it's all these. The biggest issue with Peloton is that the bike's expensive, but then you also have to get the subscription service that goes along with it.
How much is that?
I think it's $30 a month, something like that.
And apparently it takes 6 months to get.
Yeah, and it takes a long time to get. But if it keeps me from dying for another 10 years or something, it's probably worth it. So
and as long as you use it, that's all that matters.
Yeah, so far it's not become an expensive clothes hanger yet.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So, and I actually have done pretty good over the last couple months on working out on a pretty consistent basis. But but this one, I think, because it's uniform and there's stuff you can do every day, and it gives you the positive reinforcement from it. I think it's something I could probably stick with.
And you can pick up and play it.
And you can pick up and play it.
Yeah, you did that. That's cool. Michael?
Yeah.
We're still not done with everybody. I'm sure Adam has got more and I've got more. Did you pick up and play anything?
Yeah, I actually there's one NES game that I've picked up actually. Nothing really new, but it was the Kickmaster on NES. And it's the one game that I've had actually the box for and the manual, but I haven't had the game. Every single game I pretty much have either the complete or the loose copy, but this one for some reason I picked up the box when it was like real cheap a long time ago.
So you have a complete copy now?
Now I do have a complete
that's a
copy.
pretty nice,
I actually had to go to eBay to pick it up because around here in Kansas City, a lot of our game stores, a few of them closed up, and we have like the big ones, vintage stock, but a lot of times they don't get too many of the rares on the NES. They're mostly commons.
Cool. So I mean,
and no shows, of course. To go to.
What is it called again?
Kickmaster.
Kickmaster. So
it's kind of an uncommon.
Taito,
it is
isn't it?
Taito who makes it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of side-scrolling kind of.
It's got a cool box.
It is.
Cool. Was it like when you say expensive? What is it going for? 2020 money versus 2019 money?
I paid it like around $100.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's about $100 for a cart. You probably could get a cart last year for maybe 70 if you're really shopping.
Yeah, I paid right around 100.
Yeah, 70.
So Michael, being like you don't pick up a lot of stuff, you do seem to like the regular NES because $100 note from you is not something you like to drop.
It is not, but I have been selling a lot of doubles and extra systems on eBay lately.
No, yeah, it's justified. I'm more just pointing out trust me, I buy.
No,
normally I'm not saying it as like
you're right. Normally,
them.
I'm not a big spender, but it's like when I go to the conventions and I start selling like my doubles and stuff, I'll pick up those like $150 games, those rare games like the Worms Armageddon and stuff like that.
Yeah, and again, like you totally do it because I know you sell a lot of stuff. It's more just like that. Obviously, shows like you're hyper focused on. You love the Nintendo stuff because like that's your system that you collect for by far more than anything, and that's the one that you want so far. So like, what's your total list of your NES going at?
I have like 5. Let's see here. Actually, I have like a little list. 590 games.
That's a lot, dude.
So
it's quite a bit.
A solid amount.
That's a lot. Yikes.
Yeah, probably like 150 of them are complete in the box.
Wow.
So
that's a lot.
So yeah, I'm just trying to kind of pick away at it.
Yeah.
I've definitely gotten slower over the years.
Yeah,
kids
I need to do a little. I haven't picked up an NES game probably in 5 months.
Yeah, and the conventions are really where I like picking them up at. I would always get like 5 to 10 every convention I'd go to, and just haven't been able to this year.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Any big pickups? We talked about that last time. Luckily, we only had a episode a month ago, basically, or a little less than a month ago. So pat on the back to us, 2021. If you like our podcast, if you're a listener out there, hey, look at this, you got another one. So I don't have a lot that's jumping in my head that I've picked up, but it's fun to actually like play stuff every once in a while. Still, Rocket League, that kind of thing. But yeah, just mainly Ring Fit. Played this one, and then anything. Oh, Ori and the
We're
what's
in the Blind Forest.
Is it what's the second one? Will of the Wisps?
Will
or-
of the Wisp, yeah.
Is the second one? Okay, so I just started playing the second one.
It's good.
Yeah, it was kept being talked about. I just listened to like Giant Bomb's like Game of the Year, so it helps me kind of like know what they wanted and picked. I think they picked Hades as their game, or
Yeah,
Yakuza?
I've played almost all the way through Will of the Wisp.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I thought it was very well done. What's interesting is, did you know like the people who made that game all like they never like saw each other. They're around the world. Like they all
Yeah,
did-
I did read that.
Isn't that interesting? They
It
weren't
is.
like they literally, some of the team members that created that game, the assets to the art or whatever, never met other team members in person. They kind of created their. I mean, sounds.
It's very 2021.
Yeah, I know. It's like crazy to me that they made a,
It's
quality
a very,
game that way.
Yeah, it's a very, very pretty game.
Yeah, yeah.
I played it on the Series X back when I had a TV, and and
Yeah.
it has a
Deep cut.
has a 4K mode
Yeah.
on it, and yeah, it looks really nice. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a very good looking game.
Yeah, I put it on full HDR. That's what I heard. It's like one of those like, hey, look at this, look at this. It's really, really great game.
Yeah, and the kids would watch it because it's kind of like a storybook come to life,
Yeah.
sort of thing. So they watched and I played. Grayson kept begging to play it, but honestly, it has pretty difficult platforming elements in it.
Right.
So it's a little bit advanced for somebody that's 7 years old.
Right.
It's probably a teenager and on up as far as who's actually going to be able to pull it off. Sort
Right.
of game.
Sorry if you're hearing my coat, just because we're in the middle of a deep freeze
Yeah,
in
it
Kansas
is
City.
literally
It's like
1
0
degree.
degree. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like
this
0 degrees outside.
Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, it's the high. I think Sunday is supposed to be like -1 or 1, and the low is -10. At least that was 2 days ago, which is
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, I've been telling Casey all week. It feels like we moved back to Minnesota.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my phone says 1 degree,
That's
and
about
the
right.
real feel is -17 degrees. So
I don't doubt it. We just went to the restroom.
It's windy outside. Yeah.
during this last break, and yeah, like you're gonna get frostbite pretty quick.
Yeah, it's nothing to mess with.
Yeah, nothing at all. But you gotta go. Yeah, it would be funny if it's like one of those vapor things where you throw the thing in the air. It's like, hey, it doesn't even touch the ground. It just turns into vapor by the time you let
I
it go.
figured that's what would happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah. In Minnesota, you could actually do that.
Yeah.
I think the coldest I ever remember getting when I was up there was like -29 or -30, something like that.
Yeah, that's
But-
crazy. Yeah, you can literally urinate from the top floor, and then someone could be under you, and it doesn't even hit them because it just turns into cloud. But
Or
you
it
know,
would just shatter when it.
yeah, I know. My
Yeah, or it would turn into a knife
Slice.
and
Yeah.
murder them.
Yeah.
what a terrible way to go, right?
Yeah, I know.
Can you
I was
imagine?
like how did he die again? Oh, he got hit by a hit by a urine-cicle.
Actually,
I need
I
to tell my wife just to say I had a heart attack in case something
Yeah.
like stupid like that happens.
I actually, you know what's funny?
Just say this.
Yeah,
Seriously.
yeah. Just tell him it was natural causes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it technically is a natural cause. It's a natural thing that
It
came
is a
out of
body.
it.
Yeah, it is
You're
a thing
right.
we all do.
Could it be considered murder? Or murder? What? Wait, what was the back of
Colin
the
and
box?
mustard.
What was that back of the box? Murderous what?
I can't remember.
Dang it,
now.
murderous something?
Yeah, murderous something.
That would be it. Urinating off sober.
Yeah, exactly. Colin and
Actually-
mustard in the kitchen. Urine-cicle.
You want to know the worst thing than dying from a urine sickle being under it and it freezing and hitting you in the head is living from it, huh?
Yeah, you would always be the guy that.
Yeah.
Or if
you
you
would-
like
you would
lost
always
an
be the guy
eye
that
or
got
something from
urine-sickled.
that.
Oh, I know.
Oof,
Hey,
that'd
how'd
be
you
a
get
bad story.
how'd you
Yeah,
get
I
that
know.
scar? Well,
Yeah.
It was a
That's-
cold. It was a cold night in January of 2021.
yeah,
Urine-cicle.
yeah.
My father was on the top of the roof.
Why does it always? Yeah. I permanently smell like asparagus. Yeah, boy. Well, that's the in between we all promised you.
Yeah, I don't know. I got a couple other pickups though. I've been trying to keep up with the Switch. I mean, I'm not going for a full set or anything right now, but maybe at some point in the future. So I buy like the limited release things and the stuff I know it's
You
going to be
d-
really
you
hard
do.
to get on down the road. So I got Gunlord X in the other day, which is
Oh, great game.
which was an online only. You had to develop it through, or you had to buy it through to the developer, which is
Physical.
yeah.
But can you
NeoDev?
Is it
team.
on the shop?
Yeah, it's on the shop. I
Good,
think.
good, good. I do.
But,
I'm not gonna be able to get the physical.
But it's one that's there's only like 1,000 or 1,500 copies or something.
Oh, yeah.
So so there's I've been trying to keep up with those. The problem is there's so many of those little things now where because there's like Japanese exclusives by these really small publishers, and then there's European stuff. And
It was like me back in PS3, man. I don't miss that, man. I'm not
so
envious.
so you kind of have to keep up with it a little bit.
Spinning plates, yeah.
But there's not that many releases that are that way. But there's a good 2 or 3 every month I have to pick up, because I know they're going to be really hard to get, on down the road. So I've been kind of doing that just that as a habit, but that's really about it.
Yeah. Real quick, since we kind of talked about that, is that kind of it for our parental pickups and plays for now?
I think so.
We could throw things in if we think about it later. You made me think of this, Mike. How you said, hey, selling, and me too. Like the less time I have selling at a convention makes sense, even though the cost to travel. You kind of gotta. I remember, the X's and O's are you gotta have it be part of it be enjoyable. If you're doing it just to sell and you're trying to make money, it's a tough sell. Unless you do it right and try to like limit, your overnight spending, or you stay with a friend or something like that. But still, like, we all did well at our last Mo Game Con, like really well. And obviously too, like, love seeing some of our listeners and loved all the cons we've been to. But it's funny how quickly it felt like we were going to a lot of cons to how, like, I really miss them.
Yeah.
I really miss a good convention. If you've never been to one, still try to go whenever they open back up.
I've actually been driving around. Every time I see like an event space or something in town, I'm like taking a picture of it. Because I'm like, maybe I'll put one on, one of these days when it's allowable.
Here, I'm going to say something really transparent too. Anytime in the past where you've kind of thrown that out there, and I know it's just like, getting me like excited, and I'm like, no, don't stop talking about it, Adam, because all you're gonna do is get me excited about it, and then you're gonna realize like this is gonna kill us and everybody in our family, and we're like the guys.
That's the thing. I'm worried about the can of worms.
It's a huge can of worms.
It's a huge can of worms.
Like the guys in St. Louis, which we know well, and I know Jake and Chris and all the organizers over there. They do a great job, and we go to Mo Game Con, even they're the side of Missouri. But
everyone makes mistakes, and then as we've seen in Oklahoma, things can be
out
of your
sometimes,
hands.
Sometimes a tornado happens.
But even look at this year. I mean, it's just crazy
that's
stuff
the
can
thing.
happen.
You don't know who's going to show up or what they're going to do when they get there.
We've had tornadoes, we've had corona. You just don't know.
But I at least have heard, if you want to organize it, like it's not too hard to make it be something productive if you have the time to organize it. Like, how do I put this? Like, it's hard to lose money on it.
Right.
On it, no. Doing a convention, like if we put our brains together and we were trying to do it, like we could make it, even if it wouldn't sound.
Oh yeah, I mean the initial thing would be at it would be in a way that it wouldn't be at a real fancy venue.
No, you got to work your way up.
It would be low investment.
But it's low risk of losing money, to be honest with you.
The bigger investment's the time issue.
Yeah, and exactly. So it's hard to kind of lose money from it. Like if you're putting up actual money, or how much, like let's say, if you're putting in a $10,000 investment, like, you're going to get that back and whatever else. Mm-hmm. But it's not so much that, it's more just the time. And like, again, I'm going on the tangent of it would be nice to just have one. Cause I did reach out to the Mo Game Con people, my connections there. And so far it's still hiatus is the official word, unfortunately. So 2021, I was really hoping, like, obviously, 2020 was a lost cause as the year went on. But I was really hoping 2021 we'd get some conventions back. I know Brett Weiss, video game author. You've seen him. We've done interviews with him before. Hopefully, you're familiar with him and his work. But I bring him up because he's been to his first convention.
Yeah.
And if you look at his YouTube, he's got a fun little YouTube. I love this guy. He's about 10, 15 years older than us, but he's such a true, like, gentleman gamer and wonderful author, old school, but like, collects stuff and just cool dude. And I like his videos and his content. It's very wholesome, very like not the typical stuff you see on the YouTubes. He went to a convention and showed, like, they seem to be doing it very safely and limiting people and patrons that come in. I don't know, like if there was a convention, would you guys? I would love to go.
Oh, I would totally go. I'm vaccinated.
Me too.
I mean, part of the reason I got it is so that I wouldn't have to run around and
mass or be as scared, I guess. Is that the
Yeah, I mean,
say no to stuff.
I mean, the problem with the whole COVID thing, and these are taboo conversations, I suppose, but there's a certain level of risk that you have to take in any everyday life kind of thing, and I feel like for me personally, the risk at this point is negated by, I have to do. I'm not saying to go out and do things willy-nilly that are unnecessarily risky, but at the same time, like, how many years of my life am I supposed to give up? When I've been vaccinated, when I've done, some
Oh
of those
yeah,
things,
I think it's not just you; it's you making the decision, and me too, because I'm vaccinated, and we know the science of it. Like, the more people that get vaccinated, the quicker we can get out of this, and the quicker we can save lives. That's just the beginning and end of it. Not getting political here, but like the vaccine is something that will make this a lot better. And now that we have it and we're going through it, like I am feeling so much better. And I hope that everybody who's waiting, it's getting to a lot of people now. I hope that everybody's been waiting for it. And that also, like, I guess I'm trying to get to the feeling you get once you have it is you don't feel like you're Superman, but you do have this sense of relief that you can start doing stuff. It's just, they need the numbers to be better all around for everything to open up. So I hope that happens soon.
Yeah, my personal feeling is that by the time, late spring, summer gets here, I think a lot of things are going to be a lot better. And the numbers, fortunately, in the last few weeks, the numbers have gone down pretty significantly.
Yep.
So, I'm cautiously optimistic that, in the next few months, we're going to be getting back to normal, and hopefully all that stuff falls back into place, shortly thereafter. So,
to a degree. And it'll be something like, if people want to wear masks indefinitely, it won't be taboo and weird. Like a couple years ago when you'd see people, in healthcare, when you wear a mask in healthcare because you don't take your flu shot, you stick out like a sore thumb. But nowadays, even in public, I would have no problem with anybody just, a couple years from now just doing that, because then now they know, like, well, gosh, I don't want the flu. This will limit my chance of catching the flu or something. Like, we're not going to go completely back to normal anytime soon as far as like our ideas of, social distancing and things like that. But to a relative normal of us doing normal things again, like a convention, it looks to be soon, which is so nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even when the planning stuff for all those gets back into full swing, I'll be really happy about it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, well, I think convention-wise,
that's what
2022 is probably what you're talking about for conventions.
Just
yeah.
because the amount of people and to financially be able to do it, you need a solid.
Well, the
amount
problem
of
is
people.
right now there's still the specter of can you, will you, what are things going to be like, 10 months from now?
Well, and the venues, like different cities,
well,
are
that's what I
allowing
mean.
certain amounts. They keep changing.
You still can't plan anything right now.
Yeah. That's why I'm thinking next year is
I
probably
know.
the year, to be honest with you. But there could be smaller, events going on.
Well, that's kind of what I
have a local. There's somebody doing a local one.
Yeah, there is somebody doing a local one here
at the end of March.
But that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe in mid to late summer, something like that. Us maybe putting on like you did it here. There's a partner here. Michael actually put on a game swap. What was that, 2 summers ago now?
Yeah,
over there. Yeah, so we need to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I know. And then I went from optimistic, and then you guys got all real the last 30 seconds. Of like, I was thinking like 20. No, like legit. I was thinking like maybe 2021 we could do something. You guys instantly were like, no.
It just takes so many months to plan it out. I just don't know that anybody can.
You're right. Dang it.
Politics and all the rest of it aside, I just from a purely economic perspective, I don't know that anybody can make plans. Is really the issue.
I just wanted to bring it up to be optimistic, and now I just ended it. But I'll at least leave to the note of hopefully, hopefully you and your loved ones are safe, and everybody in your family is doing well. I have lost friends, family members, and stuff like that, and colleagues and stuff, and it's just still a terrible, painful thing. So we appreciate our listeners doing the right thing and being respectful about this kind of thing. And I hope you guys are safe, and the vaccine is something that you're looking forward to and you get it. I hope it feels like $1 million, because I felt so much better and calmer, and like I didn't realize I was as kind of wound up as everybody's wound up. Everybody's had a tough year. There are people who have lost their jobs, and there's so many things and discrepancies that have gone on. Like I will say, like, having a nice like feeling like safer or healthier or just relief, I guess, more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly made me feel better. I mean, I get exposed basically every day at work.
Yeah, me too.
So like very, very directly.
Yeah.
So it was a good thing just to kind of get behind me. I still have to be careful. I still have to do things certain ways, at work,
Right.
and that kind of thing. But when it comes to outside of work, types of things. And I've had, some, discussions with coworkers and things about this. And my perspective is a little bit different because and you're in the same boat, but I can't avoid the disease. Even if I wanted to, I can't. Like I have to be exposed to it on a fairly consistent basis. So, so it changes your perspective on it in some ways. So, but yeah, the vaccine was a big part of not having to feel, and I'm not even that as worried about myself as I am about getting it and giving it to somebody else because I'm around a lot of really sick people. Because you're going to have it for some period of time before you manifest the symptom from it, right? So, so it makes me feel better knowing that I am a safer entity to take care of people, knowing that I don't have it, if that makes sense.
Right.
But
while you were saying that, I was thinking back to, 7 episodes ago. Remember when we were talking about, and I was kind of complaining, I would say the B word, BITCHNIN, about we can't go to E3, or I can't go to E3. And then it was funny, we had to do a disclaimer. I'm forgetting about this, but you remember you did like a good disclaimer for the episode, like, hey, just so you know, this COVID thing blew up bigger than any of us thought. And it's like now you look back at it and you don't remember almost the before time.
Yeah,
and
I know. I remember being like super bummed that this thing happened and that thing happened.
Yeah, and you're thinking like, summer. And then as it manifested itself, it's funny. You guys ever look at like 2019 videos, or I looked at reviews, or I've looked at just stuff in 2019, and I'm just like, oh gosh, that was like 3 months away from things got locked up, and we're having young kids, so we wouldn't be on vacation anyway. But
but I'm mostly looking. I mean, more than anything else, I'm looking forward to getting my kids, back in school on regular, doing normal kid stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. I just want the adults and everything to get it all figured out so that we can make the kids normal. We can do normal kid things. We can do, all the stuff. And we've kind of stepped back into that a little bit,
same
to
here.
this point, but
we went to one of those Wonder Scope type things, the little science things, and that was great.
And my daughter, we take her to like a gym place. Now, actually, we take both of them to gym once a week, and they do, cartwheels and jump on stuff and all that kind of thing. But as far as like, we homeschool this year because they were going to do either online or partial online, and Grayson's got too much ADD for that. It's just not going to work out. So we thought, and unfortunately, I'm married to a first grade school teacher, so we just decided to do it ourselves. And the crazy thing is, I mean, not to brag or anything, but parental brag, Grayson's like super smart. I mean, unbelievably smart. We were doing like pre-algebra stuff the other day, and he's 7. We were solving for X, and he gets it.
Wow.
Nice.
I mean, it's bananas stuff, but I feel like at least working with him at home and that kind of thing, I'm a little bit worried about when we send him back. Not so much for the English language kinds of things. I mean, he's a lot like me, meaning that he's gonna suck at all that.
Yeah.
But he's gonna be good at math and science.
Yeah.
But it's been kind of an interesting, or it's changed my perspective on my kid, because now it's like, oh my God, he's a self-aware robot now. He knows stuff, and he's doing all these things on his own, and I don't even have to help him most of the time. I just watch him do it.
Hey man, that's good.
It's kind of bizarre.
Good investment. Yeah, it's funny what your kids are good at and not, and just being a parent, like you can't help but think like, oh gosh, he's still like Sebastian's funny because he'll sometimes say things wrong, but he'll do it on purpose just because he doesn't get the idea of like, well, when you say it, it's right. You get the satisfaction of it. He likes the jokey parts. And that's super normal for a 3-year-old, but like can get frustrating as a parent. And if any of our listeners know, like randomly, like, if there's something, or you find out your kid hit somebody because they're bored, you're like, gosh, he, assaulted another child. You start thinking like, well, what is this? I hope the teachers there don't think they like see me hitting people, and that's where he gets it from. Like your mind goes in such weird parent stuff. Maybe it's just me because I'm weird and stuff, but like, your kids will constantly do things that surprise you and constantly do things that frustrate you to no end of like, just like, I'm not doing it, or no, you're not. Or it's like, I'll tell my wife, my wife will tell me I'm hungry, and he'll just go up to you and say, you're not hungry. And just stuff like that. And it's the most like, kid, you can't say that. But
my daughter right now she hides stuff.
Okay.
TV remotes, car keys.
Oh, man.
It's all the things you don't want them to hide.
Interesting.
And
right.
like I have a stereo downstairs, and it has this little remote that's only about 3 inches or so long and about 1.5 inches wide. It's this little bitty
Oh,
remote.
God. Thanks,
it looks
Japan.
Like, yeah, exactly. It looks like it's made for a child, but and I guess it is. But I'm going nuts because I can't. I've got these speakers. I can't change the volume on them.
Yeah.
I can't do anything. I have no idea. I've looked under all the couches, all the couch cushions. My wife comes out, she's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, because everything is dismantled. I'm like, I can't find the remote. It was in my pinball machine. She opened the door on the front of the pinball machine
my
and
Lord.
threw it up in the back of the pinball machine. That's where it was.
How did you find that?
It was the last place I could think to look.
Oh, because you
That's
had
the-
to
that's
think
li-
like a kid.
Yeah,
You had to
literally.
think
I'm
like a
looking
kid.
in the toilet. I'm looking like,
Right.
in the bath towels. I'm looking in anywhere that you could put that thing. I looked down there. I spent probably 4 hours looking for this thing overall, and then finally thought, I wonder. Sure enough, in the freaking pinball machine. But it's been my car keys at times.
Yeah.
So she steals things and she hides them, and then the other thing she does is she just hands me random items from around the house, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'll just be sitting there, and she'll go toothbrush and hand me the toothbrush.
And you say thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
And then I have-
2-year-old picks
and then
up
I have
like
to walk
lint.
across the house and put the toothbrush, back where it belongs. But like all day long, it's she's like clippers, hands me the nail clippers. It's like, where'd you get these?
So,
Where's
so
this thing
another
go?
thing it's
Yeah.
funny. It's like, okay, so it's 2 ways to parent this. You listed something that's like frustrating, which is true. Like, this is frustrating. Your kids drive you crazy, and they always say like, from 1 to 5, prepare for your kid to just be like the worst roommate ever, or whatever, or just it's the funny joke of how self-centeredness, and they're learning their emotions, and they're really frustrating. You have to like keep your cool to not drive yourself to drink or something. But like also, if you pull yourself out of the situation, which I can, I'm listening to it. It sounds like she, your daughter, any child. I'm saying, like, so not just your daughter is if your kid does this, recognizes you like your keys.
Yeah.
And recognizes you hunt for your keys sometimes.
She knows these are valuable.
No,
That's
she
the
knows they're
thing.
valuable, so
Yeah.
she sees it as not the frustration of you looking for them. She's like, I can make Daddy look for this. Watch, I can hide it, and then he'll look for it. And it's like, that is the most innocent way of looking at it. Now, the sequelae is the frustration that you really have. But when you really look at it, that is a kid learning about cause and effect. 100%. Now, you'd hope the cause and effect would just be, spilling a glass of water on the ground. And then it's like, oh, you made a mess. We got to clean it up. But like this imagine if you had to go to like a court date or something. Maybe not court date. That sounds funny. It's like, yeah, you get in trouble. But you know what I mean? Like, imagine if you had something
you have to
really
be
like
somewhere
there's
important.
a wedding,
Yeah.
and that's your like key to the.
No, I know. All my car keys and stuff are now,
Yeah.
way up above where
But
she
like
can climb to
literally,
get 'em and
she wasn't
all
doing
that
it to
kind
be malicious. It's and this is funny. You ever remember things when you're a kid of stuff you did that was wrong, but at the time when you're a kid you don't see the wrongness?
all the time.
So I remember putting my mom's keys in the freezer, and they looked for it everywhere. And I was not. I mean, your daughter's
Yeah, she's 2.5.
2.5. I was 6, 7, 6. I don't know how. I think I was 6, and I put my mom's keys in the freezer. And there's no reason to do that outside of just hiding. And I remember they were looking for her, and I forgot where I put them. And they looked everywhere. And eventually, like hours later, found keys in the freezer. And luckily, that's before key fobs, and so I didn't like ruin anything. But I remember as a kid, I just thought, because of cartoons, that when you put something in the freezer and it comes out, an ice cube would be around it. And so I remember just thinking to myself, oh, keys. Like, that would be something cool to have an ice cube around it. So I just opened it up. I knew I wasn't going to burn the house down. I at least had enough thought of like, well, this won't like break it. It's not like I'm putting an electronic socket or pouring water on a wall outlet. Like, I was just like, this is an innocent, I'm going to experiment. And I thought for sure. And now looking at it, I'm like, you're a dumb kid. And it's not going to do that. You don't have water around it. You didn't put it in. But like, I literally thought, and I was funny. My mom was so mad until I told her the reason, and she got over it, and it was funny. I still think of it, but it's rare. Like, I remember the thought process of just, hey, it's gonna do this.
Yeah, I did a few of those too,
Yeah.
where I tried to shave like my dad, and my parents just came in, and I just had cuts all over my face, and they were like, "What did you do?" And I was like, "I was shaving like Dada," and I grabbed his razor and just
Just peel
started
myself,
just peel
yeah.
myself. Yeah,
yeah,
and,
yeah.
Mine
Or they try to make you breakfast and they make a mess everywhere and
Yeah.
stuff spills everywhere, and you have to remember. Well, wait, they were trying to make me breakfast. Like my son hide my deodorant. As a man, you don't want to lose your deodorant, but he put it out in a special place so I would see it because he's like, well, Daddy might need the deodorant. I'm like, frickin' melt my heart, kid. But also,
Speaking of melting,
you don't want your daddy to stink.
my favorite story about this type of thing is that I grew up in this little 2-bedroom house in Tulsa, and it, pretty modest house. But then in the center hallway of the house, they had one of those floor heaters. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a grate in the floor, and then there's a heater under the house and the floor that would heat up. And this grate was, I mean, these things are probably illegal now, but the grate was really hot. Like we had to wear house shoes and stuff. And even with the house shoes, like you had to walk across it quickly. And I remember all my house shoes had like little checker patterns burned into the bottom of them from this thing. So my mom bought me like a pack of crayons. And I thought that like melted crayons, they look really cool, like the color blobs and everything.
Makes sense.
So I sat above the grate, above this heater, dropping crayons onto the top of the heater. And I don't know if you ever smelled a burned crayon before, but they smell terrible. And like 50 of them smells even worse. And so for like an entire winter, my house smelled like burnt crayons.
It's rough.
Because I had thrown all of them into this heater.
The things to look forward
And
to.
so my mom was was obviously angry because I had thrown all these crayons into the heater so I could see the pretty colors. And I thought, well, it smells bad. And so I don't know if you've ever or you remember anything like this, but like I had an older sister, and at least back in the 80s, they used to.
I remembered my older sister.
Well, they used to. Well, they used to sell these little perfume bottles, like the girls would, like preteen or adolescent girls would get, like,
perfume bottles, like the ones that would come in the that look like a little cylinder. That
yeah,
like, was a
that or
sample.
hers. I remember were like in these little porcelain jar looking things. But anyway, they were these little perfumes, and I remember.
Where did
thinking,
they come in?
I just remember they were these little white cylinders
Claire's
and porcelain things. But in any respect, my mom's complaining that the house stinks, and I know my sister wears this stuff because it smells good, right? Mm-hmm. So I had those Duplo Legos, like those big fat Legos for the kids that aren't good enough for the regular Legos.
Yeah.
So I took these Legos and I put perfume. I turned them over upside down. I put some perfume in each of them, and then I hid perfume-filled Legos in every room of the house,
Sounds
in every
pretty
closet,
good.
like all around the house. And then several of them spilled. So now the house smelled like burnt crayons
And perfume.
and cheap kid perfume. But anyway, this is one of my mom's favorite stories. But I was trying to, I created a problem because I wanted to see, melted crayons, and then I made it worse by trying to fix it with cheap perfume.
And you tried to fix it. Yep. No, that's funny. All right, so moving on really quick to our video game book club decision picks here. I had to find our little random ball cage thing. I couldn't find it earlier, but now we have it. So we have our video game book club listener pick, and this is another kind of early one. It's the one, our 16th, and it's nice to see all these check marks get done. But we have our listener pick and our video game dad pick. We're moved on to the Adam and the PlayStation 3. So we are moving up. We spent a lot of time on the old systems. But for our video game book club picks for next episode, our listener pick, if you are lucky, Alex from California, congratulations. Your game was picked. Ghoul Patrol for the SNES.
Ghoul Patrol.
Yeah.
Ghoul Patrol. I don't know much about it. You guys know a little bit about it. We won't talk about it outside of the fact that it's going to be our pick for next episode. So play it in between. SNES, Lucasfilm, Ghoul Patrol. And then our video game dad pick.
Yeah, I'm going to pick a game that's kind of collectible. It's not super rare. You can find it around.
Definitely not in the top 15%.
Definitely off most people's radar, but it's in some hidden gems, videos.
Sure.
and
If
so
you've been
on.
around the block, you've heard of it.
Yeah.
I own it. I love it. I played it. Go ahead.
And I bought it last summer, I think, and I have not played it yet. So this is 3D Dot Heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is an Atlas game for the PS3.
Yeah, 3D dot game heroes. It's really cool. It's got a cool little art style to it. I guess if you haven't heard anything about it, we'll obviously talk about it next episode. But in the meantime, check out some screenshots of it, and it'll be kind of it'll remind you of a certain game.
Yeah, it'll remind you a lot of a certain
game.
Yeah.
But it's very cool. I like it, and be prepared to, when you pop that in, man, give yourself some time to play it because you're gonna not want to put it down. It's one of those.
Okay.
So anyway, that's our video game book club picks for next episode. 3D Dot Game Heroes for the PlayStation 3. I believe, is it only PS3?
I think it is a PS3 exclusive. Yeah. I might be wrong about that, but
No, I
I'm pretty
think you're
sure.
right.
I'm pretty sure it is PS3.
Talk about a game that, yeah. And Ghoul Patrol, our listener pick for the SNES for next episode.
It's me, Mario.
All right, real quick, let's move on to emails.
Let's do it.
All right, this one comes from Dan. And also feel free to email us at videogamedads@yahoo.com. Send us an email. Sorry, we're not super fast in replying, but we do reply and eventually. And we do read all the emails, just, everything in life inside. We're not a professional outfit. Have you figured that out yet? We don't have any professional outfits. Yeah, we're not always able to reply fast, but we do want to at least reply on here. So thank you for the email, Dan. Here we go. My name is Dan, as the email probably gave away. I'm a 29-year-old non-dad, not yet at least, exclamation point. Yeah, count your blessings. Just kidding. We're not those kind of dads. But honestly, enjoy your free time. You guys have opened my eyes to collecting, and because of your excellent podcast, I rekindled my love for 8 and 16-bit games. I even started to stream them. Well, good for you, Dan.
Nice.
That's always fun. Streaming is something we talked about, like, for us, man.
Maybe someday.
Yeah, well, especially knowing now that 2021 is evidently off the books from what you guys say from Anything Fun. If we all get our shots, we should all be in this room together. And, like, I was thinking, like, if you haven't heard, Adam's got a wonderful game room. It's kind of in a different area than the rest of his house. So, like, we could be in here for a while and maybe do some charitable streaming. What do you think, Adam?
Sure.
Okay.
At some point.
You gave the look like, oh, no.
Oh,
I
no.
don't know. It's not
Maybe
coming.
when it's a little warmer. And
Oh, of
nicer
course.
outside,
Yeah, not right now. It's freezing in this place right now. This is not any place I want to spend any longer than we need to. But, like, I was thinking, what a great thing, and we could do it a little dad different by just having us in here for, like, 48 hours straight playing games. And if
Yeah.
we're talking Shane, myself, Ben, Adam, that's a weird way of saying it, Adam, and then Mike, we can all just make sure we're playing a game at one point and have people vote in on
We
it.
could just play Desert Bus.
Yeah, you can make us play Desert Bus if you donate.
No.
We talked about this before. We're not fancy, but right now, especially this year and going through this, that sounds like fun. Just hanging out with a bunch of guys, dads,
Playing
and,
Desert
and,
Bus.
and hanging out with, having some beer and pizza, locked in this room.
Some
That
farming simulator.
sounds great. I'll take this over a beach any day. I was reading an email, right? Wasn't I,
Yeah,
guys?
yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Dan, back to your email. I'd like to address all you fine gentlemen that run the podcast. I look forward to listening to each episode as I'm going through them. Thank you very much. Currently, he's on episode 44, but he did skip ahead to 50 through 54 because he can't help but get to the newest. Well, good, but
Nice.
slow down, too, because I wish we could record more often, but, y'all got me through the commutes during the pandemic, and I appreciate the work y'all put in it, from all the quote-unquote sponsors to actual sponsors. I like quote, hey, listen, they're all actual sponsors, buddy. Jig is up, man. Guess who?
Oh, yeah, man. The gold. We're getting rich off all that
Yeah.
gold bond money.
Gold Bond.
Yeah.
That's still my favorite. Do you remember that guy? I forget. Like,
Lou.
Lou.
Yeah,
Lou from Gold Bond.
Yeah.
I mean, what's crazy is they're still selling Guess Who. I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah.
In the 80s, like,
Oh, yeah.
that they're still selling Guess Who.
Of course.
It's crazy.
And yeah, we get 22 cents for every one you buy. So
That's
buy
right.
Guess Who for
That's
the
right.
whole family this 2021. The transitions that always make me say, what the heck is that from? The content is always great. I did want to throw in a game into the ring for the Video Game Book Club. He's doing Incredible Crisis for the PS1. Is that anybody? Anybody?
I had not one out.
All right, I'm
don't
writing
know.
it. I am
Yeah.
literally writing it as we
The
speak.
Incredible Crisis. It sounds a little too realistic.
Incredible Crisis for PS1. I don't know anything about it. Sounds like an incredibly, maybe it's one of those like disaster games. I don't know. I don't know.
Disaster game or disaster movies were big back then.
Yeah, it
true.
quickly says he has vivid memories playing on a little 13-inch TV. Okay. Absolutely terrible at it, addicted. So it sounds like this is a big nostalgia game. Thank you for the submission, Dan, and the nice words about our podcast. So we will put that in there. We always love to find new listeners. And the next one is from Brian. Brian sends us an email. I've been looking for a good retro video game podcast. He is 46, so older than all of you. Father of three, grew up in Atari and NES. and says, love your banter. Your conversations always bring back memories. Love, love, love this podcast. He said it 3 times. This is a 46-year-old man.
It's getting weird, Brian.
No, I like it. How many times does a 46-year-old man say he loves something 3 times to another
That's actually
group
a
of men?
rare thing. 46-year-old men are usually bitter, angry, twisted
So I like it.
souls.
No, I like it, which makes me think he really loves it. You know what I mean? Like it's legit. So he knew that, so he's put it 3 times. I like it. I do have a question for you guys. Thank you. And this is another thing we want. We want questions. Honestly, it helps us not be so random and start talking about what did we just get on a tangent about that was super weird.
We don't even know,
but it was weird.
We've already forgotten.
I already forgot what we talked about, but we just talked about something weird about 20 minutes
Where
ago.
am I?
Yeah. Okay, so his question is, what age and what systems are easiest for little kids like my 3-year-old to play? I am lost on this one. I do have a suggestion for a video game book club, Baseball Stars for the NES. Played this game for hours for a sports game. You could create your own team and manage it. It does not get enough respect. My friends and I played this game over and over, creating
It's a
new
Neo
teams.
Geo port.
Trying to load up your team, conversations with eerily familiar. I find your conversations about fatherhood eerily familiar. Oh my god, it's like you guys are in my head. Love it and keep it up from Brian. Thank you. What a nice email. Very, very nice words. Well, first, let's go to the Baseball Stars. So I haven't played Baseball Stars for the NES.
Yeah, I said Neo Geo. It's actually not. This is SNK prior to Neo Geo.
Yeah. But definitely a game on the NES, right?
Yep.
Okay. Baseballs.
I think
That's
it's
a solid one.
I think it's a ROM Star release on NES, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay. I love
old
me a
school.
sports game. You remember, I put in one of my first early episodes. It was that Dusty Diamonds. So I'd love to play another NES baseball game. It's in there. I did, of course, play it on the Neo Geo, or at least if that's what it ultimately became. And hey, if for some reason you've been under a rock there, Brian, you don't know that the Baseball Stars Super version on Neo Geo exists, play that one too. But yeah, we will put in the book club. Hopefully it gets picked sometime soon.
As far as a game that he could play with this kid,
let's
as far
address
as
the question.
8-bit, 16-bit is kind of tough.
Right.
I did find 16-bit. I played with my 4-year-old Echo the Dolphin. Yeah. He liked that a lot just because it was real simple and no way to die or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
The first level, you could kind of swim around.
that's all he really needs for a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old. Anything that's gonna be too complicated, they're just gonna lose their attention.
Sure.
So you just need them something that he's gonna scroll around in and have fun.
Especially because tablets are a little earlier. What do you say?
I'm going to sidestep Brian's question and answer the question that answer this in a way that I think will be more helpful.
Okay.
So,
Because I want to hear this too, because I have an answer for it, but I also kind of need an answer myself. So go ahead.
So the first is, as far as systems go, I think the DS is the best system for a small kid to kind of get used to playing games because it has a D-pad, it has buttons,
Good.
but it also has the stylus, and there's plenty of kid games for it.
Right.
So I think it's a very soft, easy, cheap introduction for a kid, and if they destroy it, it's a DS. It's not expensive, and there's a million of them. So
And he
don't have
did
to
say
feel guilty about it.
system. He didn't say console.
Yeah,
so
correct.
you're still answering that question.
So I think the DS is great. I think you can buy 2 DSs and play games with them over the DS if you wanted to. So there's a ton of multiplayer games that are wireless, and they just do ad hoc linking
Yep.
together.
And cheap if they break.
Yeah.
Like you said.
So like I said, I think so. My suggestion is the Nintendo DS for that. And then my future suggestion, because it's not out yet, is going to be the Amico, the Intellivision Amico.
I was going to say that too.
Because that's what I'm planning on. Disclaimer: this isn't a thing that I've tested out. I don't own it, and I don't use it because it's not out yet. But I'm actually really looking forward to it because I can see scenarios where my now 2.5-year-old daughter, my 7-year-old son, myself, and my wife would very easily be able to play games together.
Right.
On that system. That's really what it's designed for. And I like Tommy Tallarico. I think the project itself.
And just real quick, Tommy Tallarico is now kind of the...
He owns Intellivision.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it.
But he's the
just
guy
in a
that
few
made
episodes.
Yeah, he made Earthworm Jim. Like he's a industry veteran.
Done music, yeah. And a very, David Goliath story. He started up like California on a Whim and a Dream and worked his way into what he does now. So he's faced bigger odds than trying to release a console in the pandemic, which is kind of the guy you want doing this.
Sure. So I'm kind of now the Amico isn't going to be like, oh my god, 4K, bananas. It's got a solid state drive. Like
No,
it's not
no.
that, but it is a thing designed for you to play with your kids, and for the vast majority of Americans that are in that boat, like we are.
Right.
I think this looks like a tool that'd be very good for those types of things. So that's my suggestion is DS now, and keep your eye on the Amico.
Yeah, when it comes out, and I do think initially, we don't do a lot of interviews and stuff, but if there was a way to get scratch Tommy Tallarico's ear about like where we are at like when this thing comes out or something like that, I'm like curious about that again. Like obviously, I know there has to be a delay due to the pandemic, but do you know, because you pre-ordered, is it 2021 this year is still a plan?
Yes,
It's okay.
I actually
spot.
need to look. I know that it was originally supposed to be released in October, but like everything,
Yeah.
it got delayed.
Yeah.
But it is in the next few months.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
I'm not sure of the exact timing on it.
Yeah, so if you haven't heard of it, look it up.
Yeah, and you can pre-order from them, which is what I've done, and then GameStop I think is going to be the primary retailer.
Yeah. A few different options there, but there's a lot of info on it, and I just because it kind of does feel like something that if it is successful and comes out, and obviously there's pre-order guarantees of people's money, and make sure if something does happen and it goes belly up, you still get your money back type thing. Like, who cares when it comes out? We can maybe get some info about it more. If you feel like that's something worth it, we'll ask you guys about that, and we might reach out to Tommy to have him talk about it, because I agree. So for my answer, yes, a 3-year-old to play. I have also Brian, a 3-year-old, and I have the same problem. I will tell you what I've been going into now is not so much controller and system or the peripheral, and I'm talking about the Kinect. They made a Kinect for the Xbox One, which, as you know, is the 3rd generation of Xbox, not to be confused with the OG Xbox, not that one. The Xbox One and the Xbox 360. Xbox 360s are now pretty cheap. They're readily easy to find if you find one that's not probably the early gen one, like one of the black ones, and you get a Kinect. There's a lot of kid Kinect games, and the Kinect, the whole big thing was you don't need a controller. It's now gone and passed. It's not super popular, but you still have these games that work. That some of them were aimed, like have an Elmo themed one. Some of them were actually produced by the Double Fine people, the ones that made Psychonauts and Grim Fandango. Super Happy Fun Time is one that I want to download that's been delisted, and I found out that if you buy an old Kinect game called Neo Geo Safari and also the Sesame Street game for the 360, which is why I've been asking you guys for it. This is my whole plan is Sebastian is 3 and also like playing a controller, like using a Kinect as a game, and they're actually like pretty competent games and Sesame Street characters, which they like. I actually tried to do the Astrobot with him on PS4, but like I forget, we just talked about scary robots earlier in this podcast. Robots can be scary to kids. And this little robot that's flying around I thought was fun, and Sebastian was kind of like not into it. And he was like, this is scary. And I was like, oh crap, I didn't even think about that. So even though in 6 months or a year, he won't think it's scary when he's 4. Like right now it is. So nothing like Elmo. So if you get an old Kinect, a 360, find a Kinect, a little game store, and get those Kinect games are like $5 even on eBay. You can get them for like $6 shipped. That would be my suggestion. It's not a high cost of ownership. If you're looking at Switches and other stuff, you can get a 360 and a Kinect for not much money. If you look around, plus those games, you're looking at a $75 investment without trying too hard. That would be my suggestion. I could see where it's frustrating because even I'm having a little bit of trouble, but that's what I'm about to try. But look up those games that we suggested there. So thank you, Brian, for that email. All right, moving on to Aaron. Aaron, hey, Dads, just remembered, this is a new email. I was going to email you on this. I was the one that chose Super Spy Hunter for the book club. It's a pretty neat game. I hope you enjoy it. This is back right before we reviewed it. I have not given it much time myself, sadly. But plan to rectify that soon. It's funny. It's almost like he's sending this as a like, I hope you like it. It's okay, buddy. We did kind of like it.
Yeah, we did like it. Yeah. That was a good
I'm
game.
not sure if you remember me or not, but I met you guys at Mo Game Con last year, and actually the year before too. I was really looking forward to hanging out again this year, but of course, with the way things have gone, we just, of course, talked about not going to be possible. Hopeful for next year. Glad to see you guys are back doing episodes again. Keep up the great work. Of course, Aaron, thank you so much. Yes, thank you for the suggestion. We liked it, obviously. Thank you for coming out to Mo Game Con, and yes, next one. And also, just so you know, for your third year, you get a free game from our booth. We just made up that rule, so now you got to hold me to it, and I'm going to forget it by the time we do it. So you go up to me and say, "Hey, in episode blah blah blah, you said you're going to give me a free game valued up to $10. Is 10 fine or 15?
Yeah, I think 10
now how about
10's
five?
good.
5 each year.
Okay, that's fine.
Not
15.
all of us.
It's your money.
You're right. It is. Well, now I've already committed. And I've
$20 game.
I
now.
think it should be a $500 game.
Yeah.
I've already said
Yeah.
I've already said my thoughts out loud, which has already done me in. So I'm going to say $15. You get a free $15 credit toward my part of the booth, and also 10 from the other guys. I'm just kidding. Unless you want to hold them to it. Glad to see you guys are back in doing episodes again. Thank you, Aaron, very much. And yeah, we would love to have another podcast. So just real quick, the other one from Chip. He mentioned, because we talked about Game Pass last time, so EA Play is also part of Xbox Game Pass. He played Jedi Fallen Order on EA on his Xbox One. Best deal in gaming! ! We agree.
I did not mention that. Yeah, EA Play has been part, I think, for a few months.
Yeah, it is
cool.
a separate download on PlayStation. I still think worth it. It's $5 a month, and you get a ton of free games. Again, this is for someone who doesn't have time to collect stuff. You want a system. Honestly, right now, you can't go wrong with either a PS4 or an Xbox One, but the Xbox Game Pass is such a deal.
Yeah, but like Garden Warfare that Grayson talked about last episode, that's the EA Play portion of Game Pass.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's on it, and a bunch of other games in that game.
A bunch of the Star Wars
suggested.
games and some sports games and so
Yeah,
on.
and that No Way Out, that kind of co-op jailbreak one that I talked about last time. Yeah, so that's it for emails. But please email us with any questions you have. We will handle it usually every other. We will do reviews and make sure to review us on iTunes. And we will read it good or bad. That helps us get exposed. That's one thing you can do to kind of help us, get the word of mouth. But talk to your friends about this podcast about dads and gaming.
Evangelize people.
Yes, evangelize. The church of three guys in a basement talking gaming, fatherhood, and everything in between. We got one more segment for you guys we did not forget. It's time for the
Handheld.
Yeah, boy, big bow. That's a reference from Binary Domain.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he'll randomly say,
yeah.
"Big
That's
Bo, hey Bo." It's just so stupid. Great game. Play that game. So our handheld Holla, real quick, is when we get a little love to our handheld brethren, our handheld systems and games, because no one ever puts those on lists because not many people play them. But we're gonna pick out a handheld. It could be any system at all. I'm really spitting this out really weird, like I'm in a cold place. Sorry, if this is your first time listening to this episode. Most of you know what it is. You can pick any handheld game. We just kind of want to shout these out because these are usually inexpensive, easier to find, and also way more of these Metal Jesus Rocks hidden gems are found on handheld games now that everybody knows all the console stuff anyway. So we will go round table. Yeah, so handheld Holla picks. Let's go around the table real quick. Let's do Michael first. Michael, what's your handheld Holla pick for this episode?
My pick is on the 3DS. It is Zen 3D Pinball, and so it's kind of a little bit of an oddball choice pinball game.
Yeah,
but it's actually kind of fun in that it doesn't have just your standard pinball kind of try to beat your own high score, but it has like a nice online feel where you can kind of play against other people in kind of like tournament style. And it's got a really wide variety of tables.
Nice, and the 3D effect pretty good.
Yeah, real good.
Wow, I might need to pick that up.
Yeah, it's
myself.
a good game.
Yeah,
I will pick
kind of
that
a
up.
fun
Yeah,
little game.
those
Nice.
in pinball games are good on all the systems.
Yeah, 3DS is quite a good console to pick up. Of course, that would be another one for the 3. But yeah, the 2DS, good call for the 3-year-old. I agree. Okay, so Zen Pinball, and you said how much it was?
Not very much, like $10, $15. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and I am going to go with 3DS as well. I'm going to do Bit Trip Saga
Okay.
for the 3DS. And the Bit Trip games were originally released as like WiiWare, Wii Virtual Console kinds of games. But this includes all 6 of them, which is Bit Trip Beat, Bit Trip Core, Bit Trip Void, Bit Trip Runner,
Oh,
Bit
okay.
Trip Fate, and Bit Trip Flux.
So you better like some Bit Trip if you're going to
You
pick
better
up
like
these
some
games.
Bit Trip. So these are BitTune, related rhythm games that are also
Endless runners.
some of them are endless runners. Some of them are like shooters, like bullet hell kind of things.
okay.
They're kind of even hard to describe.
Yeah.
Bit Trip Beat, which is the first one, is actually my favorite one, and it's like an Arkanoid sort of clone that you bounce these balls back related to the rhythm and the music.
Right.
And they're cool, they're fun, they're simple games, but they're really cool to play, especially if you have kids around or whatever, because they kind of dance to the tunes. And I'm kind of a sucker for rhythm games, so it's right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the price of it is, but I don't think it's expensive.
Okay. Bit Trip Saga for the 3DS. Good recommendation. Nice, simple, and it's 2D art style.
And all
too.
those games are downloadable too.
Okay. Good. And then I will go, because you guys did 3DS, I will go Game Gear, huh? Yeah, let's go with the Sega Game Gear. This is one I was so surprised I did not pick. There's 2 in the series. I'm just picking the second one because technically it's a better game, but both are great. I remember picking these up. I played these as kids. Shinobi 2 is my handheld Holla pick. Shinobi 2, both the games, Shinobi and Shinobi 2 for the Game Gear, for the longest time, you could not download these things anywhere randomly. They had been released on I believe the Wii Virtual Console or 3DS shop at some point recently. And there was like the only Game Gear game that was available. These things are amazing, great action games. This is my only exposure to the Shinobi games as a kid. The Genesis ones I never really had.
I had the opposite, yeah.
Yeah. And so, but the graphics are great. The music is great. It literally is, for as limited as the Game Gear is, and knowing, or even the Lynx was a superior system, one of the best, like, overall handheld games for the time. It was like, the equivalent of like a Mario 64 moment for Shinobi. You'll be surprised when you look at the rest of the catalog and you look at Shinobi 2 for the Game Gear. It's kind of head and shoulders probably the best game on the entire system library. And I can say that because you guys out there don't know, because it's the Game Gear, how many people know that library. Maybe you do. If you want to argue, send me an email. You might be right. I'm just saying that to make you go out and play Shinobi 2 for the Game Gear, also Zen Pinball for the 3DS, and Bit Trip Saga for the 3DS are our handheld Holla picks for this episode.
All right.
And with that, guys, I think this episode, thank you so much, is concluding. We are freezing our tails off. I'm going to get work at editing, so that'll be fun. Yay, to get this sucker out to you guys. We love you. We appreciate you.
Thank you to Guess Who.
Thank you to Guess Who.
Yeah, thank you to Guess Who.
Are they wearing glasses? I would always cheat and
Are they bald?
You're not supposed to ask the sex of the patient. What the heck? You're not supposed to ask the sex of the person. You can't say male, female, because that like gives away too many. But when people would say, "Oh, do they have like burgundy hair?" I'm like, you're gonna lose. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Email us at videogamedads@yahoo.com. Put us just a review on iTunes if you like us, and if you don't, just quietly walk off into the sunset and never listen to us again. Just kidding. So anyway, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time. Episode 50, what is this?
58, yeah.
Is in the books.
All right, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sometimes the world looks perfect, nothing